Andrea Schwartz claims her former fiancé or his son need to pay for the cost of her child's birth. Wayne and Julian Pierce say that if she had a relationship with both of them, it's likely someone else is the baby's father.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lauren Lake presiding.
Please be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello. Thank you, Sean. Good day, everyone. Good day. This is the case of Schwartz versus Pierce and Pierce. Ms. Schwartz, you are suing Mr. Pierce and his son for $4,250, which is half of your birth expenses. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And the defendants, you both say you are not the father.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Correct, Your Honor.
Well, we have a father and son as co-defendants.
That's correct, Your Honor.
So you should get to testify, Ms. Schwartz. How can father and son both be potential fathers?
Wayne and I, we were engaged, we were fiancé, and we were planned to be married when his son moved in with us to study for his MCATs. Because Mr. Pierce is an orthopedic surgeon, and his son wanted to follow in his father's footsteps.
Boy, did he.
The reason our
Go ahead.
relationship went south is because he knew that I really wanted a child, and he never had the time for our relationship, let alone the relationship with his son.
Your Honor, if I may, I am an orthopedic surgeon, as she said, and that requires many, many hours, and she knew that when we met, and that was one of the reasons our engagement went so long, was figuring out if that time was enough. Julian is my son from my previous marriage, and I had reservations about having another child, which Andrea knew quite well.
All right, so you were not convinced that you wanted to have another child.
That's correct.
And you all were using this engagement for really what engagements are for, is to continue to get to know one another and figure out if marriage is really the right next step.
He was delaying and never made time for us or for Julian. And he knew it's very important for me, being in my 30s as a woman. I'm excited to have a child and be a mother.
So you started making time for Julian?
Your Honor.
We spent more time together. I helped him to study since his father was not even there to help him study as he should have been.
Ms. Schwartz, how old are you?
I am 34.
And Julian, how old are you?
I'm 22, Your Honor.
All right. So you obviously started to have a romantic interest in Ms. Schwartz, or was this something that just happened? How is it that you became intimate with your fiance's son?
Julian came on to me, Your Honor.
Your Honor, that's not true. In fact, me and Andrea had spent lots and lots of time together while my father was working. She was helping me study for the MCATs. She was, since she'd quit her job, she was spending a lot of time around the house. This time would get more and more intimate. And, really we just developed a bond. And I suppose that it's possible that we were both holding on to resentment for my father. When I was in my adolescence, he wasn't really around much, and I didn't really think he treated my mom very well. Again, it's the same things that Andrea was upset with, that he was spending too much time at work and not enough time with her. And I think Andrea, really used that, and I think she used me as an opportunity to distract herself from that. And I will definitely deny that I came on to her. If anything, it's the opposite. She would go around the house in her underwear. And in fact, the first time we were physically intimate, I said she initiated it.
Julian came on to me, but as he was saying, we both filled a void that Wayne himself put between us as his family.
Your Honor, the night we became physically intimate...
I'm still stuck on walking around the house in your underwear in front of your future stepson. Is that true, Ms. Schwartz?
It was a bikini.
Okay. I mean, I get it. If it was by the pool or you're at the beach, he would see you in a bikini anyway. But so you're just walking around the house in your bikini. Are you going out to the pool?
Yes, indeed. Yes, we live together after all. Sometimes things do get intimate.
You never heard of cover-ups, huh?
Coming up,
It was a very difficult conversation, and yes, I was furious with him.
I mean, y'all so calm. They so calm with it, right, Sean? What is going on here? Your son was sleeping with your fiance, and your fiance was sleeping with your son.
we're back with the case of Andrea Schwartz, who brought potential fathers Wayne and Julian Pierce to court over the cost of her child's birth.
Listen, I understand that his job, Mr. Pierce's job, was demanding. So much so that it probably did leave you with a lot of downtime. But that downtime, I don't think was. I don't think you had so much downtime that you need to get down with his son. I mean, can you find something else to do? A club to join, a gym, yoga. I mean, there are other opportunities and activities
I made a mistake.
to occupy yourself when you have a fiance that's very busy.
It was a temporary lack of judgment and a lapse
So
of
this was a
judgment.
one-time thing.
No, Your Honor, it continued for a few months. We were both aware that, it shouldn't be happening. We were both guilty about it, but, for me at least, it was more like an addiction. And eventually, any resentment from my father stopped even being a part of this because, we'd essentially engaged in a relationship, me and her.
Was it a relationship for you, Miss Schwartz?
I had begun losing feelings for Wayne after a while. He was supposed to be my fiance, but I was spending more time with his son. Regardless, Your Honor, one of these men is the father to my child. And I'm only asking for half of the birthing expenses. I think that's fair.
Your
So
Honor,
don't try to skip over to the damages now. You all done started this mess. I want to understand how it all came to a head. At what point did you find out, Mr. Pierce, that your son and your fiance were sleeping together?
So my son came to me in tears to confess to me what had happened. It was a very difficult conversation, and yes, I was furious with him.
I mean, y'all so calm. They so calm with it, right, Sean? My son told me that he... What is going on here? Your son was sleeping with your fiance, and your fiance was sleeping with your son.
That is correct. And when I found that out, I confronted Andrea. She confessed that it was true, and I threw her out because I was done at that point.
I bet you were. I bet you were. So, Ms. Schwartz, did you know that Julian was feeling that much guilt that he was going to go to his father? Or, Julian, were you feeling guilt? Or were you really trying to destroy the relationship between Ms. Schwartz and your father because you wanted her to be with you?
I wasn't trying to destroy anything, Your Honor. I mean, I did feel guilt the entire time, as I'm sure Andrea did as well. But when Andrea told me that she didn't want to continue the relationship with me because she wanted to start a family with my father, it seemed ridiculous to me. And I did get upset, and I did get angry because it made no sense. My father made it clear that he didn't want to start a family with her, that he didn't want to have another child, and it was preposterous for her to think that there was any sort of future there. So for her to end that relationship with me, I was a bit curt, and I was a bit upset. And at that point, the only thing left to do was to tell my father, quite honestly, because neither relationship was going to continue after that.
So, Ms. Schwartz, during the window of conception, when your child was conceived, you are saying, it is your testimony that you were having unprotected sex with both Mr. Pierce, the father, and Mr. Pierce, the son.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, that's exactly how you have a question of paternity. Were you having sex with anybody else?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Well, I guess there's only one way to find out who is the father of your beautiful child. Was it a boy or a girl?
It's a boy, and this is baby Cameron. I keep this picture in my wallet if I may present some evidence along with the medical expenses.
So by the time you had the baby,
When we first separated, when we cut off our engagement, I was 6 weeks pregnant at that moment, but I did not know. And then
so when you broke up, you didn't know you were pregnant.
I did not know yet. And when I wanted to contact them, the Pierces, to tell them I have been cut off from all communication.
Your Honor, I would just like to say I think it's a little bit irresponsible if she's having unprotected sex for both of us not to be taking pregnancy tests for 6 weeks after. I mean, it's
You got all the answers, young Julian. I mean, I just wish you had all of this mature perspective when you decided to have sex with your father's fiance.
I
love that when people come to We the People, they are full
Of
on,
knowledge.
Advocates, lawyers. They've got all of the right answers and the right reasoning. But we don't have that in our own lives.
I know, Your Honor, I made a monumental mistake.
Are we really in position to talk about what was irresponsible right now?
I've done a lot of personal work to grow from this, and I certainly will not be hurting my father like this again, and I certainly won't be doing anything like this in the future.
Have you two been able to salvage your relationship and regain trust and respect for one another?
We have, Your Honor. It took a lot of work and it took time, but after talking through it and how hard it was, we were able to mend our relationship and are actually closer than we have ever been.
All right.
Coming up,
Look, I don't want to say anything about Andrea and what she does, but, if she had one affair, it's possible she could have had multiple.
Whew. This is messy.
we're back with the case of Andrea Schwartz, who brought potential fathers Wayne and Julian Pierce to court over the cost of her child's birth.
So, Ms. Schwartz, you had to have the baby by yourself.
Yes, Your
Who
Honor.
came to the hospital when the baby was born?
No one did, Your Honor, because they cut me off of communication completely. As much as I tried to call them and be in contact again, I could not.
So how did you notify them you were pregnant?
With this, as we are here.
What?
We were notified via the lawsuit. I didn't want to ever speak to her again after what had happened, so I did go out of my way to make sure that all communication was blocked.
So, after you found that out, did you ask to see the baby?
I did not, Your Honor. It brought up some very difficult feelings for me at that time. And I do work a lot, and I do spend a lot of time and energy there, and sometimes I may disconnect when things are difficult and bury myself in my work. So I did not ask to see, no.
Have you seen the baby, Julian?
No, I have not, Your Honor. Me and my father truly didn't want anything to do with Andrea after all of this mess, and to be
But
honest,
what about the baby? Even if you didn't want anything to do with Ms. Schwartz, you were sleeping with her unprotected. If you thought, well, one of us could be this child's father, why wouldn't you not try to see the baby?
I don't believe it's my baby, Your Honor. I don't believe it's my child.
You don't?
No.
Do you believe it's your father's child?
No, I don't believe it's either of our child.
Why don't you believe that?
Look, I don't want to say anything about Andrea and what she does, but, if she had one affair, it's possible she could have had multiple. It's possible she could have been with someone after the breakups with both me and my father. I'm just saying it's not unlikely that someone else could have done this.
Whew, this is messy.
Coming up,
Well, there's only one way to find out whether father or son fathered Ms. Schwartz's child. I have the paternity results.
we're back with the case of Andrea Schwartz, who brought potential fathers Wayne and Julian Pierce to court over the cost of her child's birth.
Well, there's only one way to find out whether father or son fathered Ms. Schwartz's child. I have the paternity results. When it comes to 6-month-old baby Cameron, it has been determined by this court that Mr. Wayne Pierce, father, you are not the father. Baby Cameron is not your child. The next result reads as follows. As it pertains to 6-month-old baby Cameron, son Julian Pierce, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Pierce, you are the father. Julian, You're going to need to use all that wisdom and maturity and logic you've just tried to display in court today and help raise this baby.
This is all very new information, obviously, and it's going to take some time to process this. I suppose I'll do
Well,
whatever.
while you processing, you also need to be paying. Because the baby is here.
Judge Lake's verdict when We the People returns.
Why are you in tears, Ms. Schwartz?
I have made my mistake with Wayne, and I was hoping to potentially mend our relationship by having this child between us. And I thank you.
Oh, you were hoping that the child would be Dad's child so that you all could get back together because you really have regret for sleeping with his son.
I do. I made a mistake.
I don't know if you ever get over that, though. Do you, Sean?
No, I don't think so.
Ain't no birthday, no holiday ever gonna be the same. So with that said, Mr. Pierce, you are going to be responsible for expenses that Ms. Schwartz has incurred since this child was born, and now courts have been ruling that you're even responsible for the expenses incurred before this child was born. So it is the judgment of this court, judgment for the plaintiff for $4,250. Court is adjourned.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $4,250.
We have this beautiful blessing, this baby, and I am just happy that I was able to fulfill my dream of being a mother. So
You finally got what you want, but I will make sure that my son and my grandson.
Bryce Lakewood claims he helped his former work wife when she needed a loan, only she skipped out on the balance. Chanel Simpson says she worked off what was owed, but the plaintiff crossed the line by expecting more.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lauren Lake presiding.
You may be seated. Good day, everyone. Good day. This is the case of Lakewood versus Simpson. Mr. Lakewood, you are suing Ms. Simpson for $600 from a personal loan. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Simpson, you say you do not owe the plaintiff anything.
Correct, Your Honor.
All right, I'd like to start with you, Mr. Lakewood. Tell me what happened.
Well, Your Honor, I'm suing the defendant, Chanel Simpson, for $600 related to a loan I gave her during her time of unemployment.
All right. How do you know each other?
We worked at the same call center for 3 years.
Okay.
We were good friends during that time. As a matter of fact, a lot of people joked around the office that she was my work wife and I was her work husband.
Okay.
Because we used to look out for each other and communicate all the time. Like if I went to lunch, I'd buy her lunch. If she went to lunch, she'd buy me some lunch. So we just had a really good friendship, but we really just laughed it off because, the work wife, work husband thing, because we knew there was really nothing going on there.
All right. And so I've heard that before, and, people do establish, alliances and friendships and very close associations in the workplace, sometimes too close, but it can work. Ms. Simpson, so you experienced a period of unemployment.
That is correct, Your Honor.
And can you tell me what the circumstances were that prompted you to take a loan from Mr. Lakewood?
Yes, Your Honor. So I had been unemployed for a little bit of time. During my tenure at the call center, I hadn't been able to really save up a lot of money. But I had a lot of bills still coming in. So I was taking money from family whenever they were able to bless me with it to help me get things paid down. And Bryce would check in with me from time to time because we were friends.
So were you still working at the call center then?
No, by this time my department had been downsized and I was downsized along with it.
All right. So you were not working at the time.
No.
Your family would help you out a little bit.
Yes.
Did you file for unemployment?
Yes, but it was taking some time to come in.
All right. And so during that time, you were falling behind on some bills, and you asked Mr. Lakewood to borrow money.
Yes.
How much money did you ask to borrow?
$2,000, Your Honor.
Okay, so Mr. Lakewood, she calls you and asks you to borrow $2,000?
Actually, we kept in touch during the time after she became unemployed, and we shoot messages back and forth, just checking on each other. And it came to the point where I said, you know, I understand unemployment takes a long time to kick in, and when it kicks in, they don't pay much. So I said, is there some way I can help you out? She said, sure, that'd be great. I said, well, how much do you need? And she said, well, about $2,000 would really help.
Okay.
So I have the proof here of the Venmo that I sent her of $2,000.
I'd like to see it, please.
Okay.
I'll take all of your evidence.
Okay. Plus the text messages as well, Your Honor, where we
And so,
exchanged
Ms.
back forth.
Simpson, you agree that you did borrow the $2,000 and he did send it?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, here's the proof. So that is not an issue. You have text messages. You guys just checking on each other.
Yes.
If you need a loan, I got you, $2,000, but I don't know when I can pay you back. You, Mr. Lakewood, say, I've been there. There's no rush. I want to make sure you're all right. And then you say, thanks, Bryce. I promise to pay you back. And then you say, I'm not worried. I know where you live. Laugh out loud. You say, facts.
Yes.
Okay. And he says, send me your Venmo. I'll send it over. So how do we get here? How is it that there are $600 remaining on the loan? Did she pay back the other $1,400?
Well, Your Honor, when I made her the loan, I knew the stress level was high, and I didn't put any kind of time frame on the repayment or any
That
kind
was
of
kind of you.
Thank you. Or any kind of dollar amount per month or per week, because I didn't want to add to her stress. So over the next 4 months, she paid me back $1,400 of the loan.
Coming up,
Things started to go south for us.
Why did it go south?
I was in the office doing my data entry and filing papers, and Mr. Lakewood comes into the office and asks me to do a load of laundry.
and later.
As a landscaper, I know my plants quite well. I happen to know that none of those plants are dangerous to people in any way, shape, or form.
We're back with a dispute between Bryce Lakewood and his former work wife, Chanel Simpson, over the status of a loan.
I have a side printing business beside the call center that's really starting to flourish, and I needed some help with some light data entry and some filing. So I told her, if you come by once a week for 4 weeks and help me with this data entry and help me with this light filing, we'll call it even. Because I would have had to hire somebody to come in and do it anyway.
All right, so that seemed like a decent compromise. You could kind of work it off instead of having the pressure to pay that back.
Yes.
And so, Ms. Simpson, did you agree to go work at the printing company with Mr. Lakewood?
Of course, yes.
And what happened?
So the first 2 weeks were fine. Things went smoothly. I was in his office. I was just doing light filing work, data entry. The third week, though, things started to go south for us.
Why did it go south?
So I was in the office doing my data entry and filing papers, and Mr. Lakewood comes into the office and asks me to do a load of laundry.
Hold on, Your Honor. I have helped her at her apartment dozens of times when something breaks or leaks or blows out. When her car broke down, I was the one that got in my car with the jumper cables to jump her car.
Yeah,
I've
but
helped
that's
her
all
a dozen
mechanical.
times.
It's not intimate. It's not personal. I didn't ask you to do my laundry or clean my bathtub.
I've never done her laundry or cleaned her bathtub, but we've helped each other back and forth a bunch of times.
So why is it, Mr. Lakewood, if you've got Ms. Simpson working, why is it you just make time to do your own laundry? Why ask her to do that?
It was just a small favor. I figured that we've done favors back and forth for each other all the time, and it wouldn't
Okay,
be
and
that big a
she
deal.
obviously didn't want to do it.
I did not.
Did
but
you express that, or did you do the laundry?
I did the laundry, Your Honor.
Okay, so you did the laundry, and then what?
So then I do the laundry. After I get that done, I'm back in the office, and then he comes in and he asks for a back rub.
Oh, no, that's a complete mischaracterization, Your Honor. I'm sorry. What I said was, wow, it's been a really long day because I'd worked a double at the call center. I said, my shoulders really hurt. Man, I could use a back rub. I didn't go, I could use a back rub or something like that.
You didn't have to. You looked dead at my face and said, oh, my shoulders hurt. I need a back rub. How else am I supposed to take that?
And so you were offended by that?
Yes.
And you told him what?
I told him no, that was over the line and inappropriate, and I got out of there.
You got so mad, you just decided to leave?
I was done for the day. I had
Oh,
one
you were
more
done
week.
for the day.
Yeah.
So did you do the last week?
I did. I showed up to do the last week because I wanted to finish the job and be done with the $600 that I owed him.
And so did you finish the job?
I feel like I did, and I got there the 4th week, and things were going fine. I was in the office in front of the filing cabinet, almost done with the last box of papers, when Mr. Lakewood walks up behind me, brushes up against my back with his chest, hands me a folder over my shoulder, and says, "Hey, do you mind filing this under D for me?"
It was deliveries, Your Honor. I run a small printing company. We
Under
have to-
D, I just caught that.
Your Honor, under deliveries, the
Under
things I
D.
print have to be delivered to my clients.
Yeah,
I
but
did
you
not
didn't
run
have
up
to say
against
it
her
like that.
and rub up against her and say, "Hey, file this under D" or something like that.
Well, you might
I
as
am
well
so
have.
glad you weren't talking like that because it is
Well-
getting on my last nerve in here. Did you rub up against her?
I may have.
Let's just cut to the
I
chase.
didn't rub
Do
up
you
against her on
like
purpose.
Miss Simpson? Do you have affection for her that extends beyond the work husband, work wife? Because sometimes that work husband, work wife thing can be code for affections that should not be expressed because both of y'all got real husbands and real wives. Or it could just be affections that maybe you're suppressing because you value the friendship more than an intimate connection, so you just want to keep it cool. So can you cut to the chase?
Well,
Did you have feelings for her?
She is low-key kind of fine, Your Honor. And I figured since we didn't work together, if she's the work wife, she might as well become the wifey wife. So I
And you
figured-
weren't married?
No, neither was
And you
I.
weren't married?
No, Your Honor.
But you obviously didn't like him like that.
No, I did not think he was low-key fine or any kind of fine.
Well, there you have it, kids. You in here suing her for $600. She could be in here suing you. As a matter of fact, she could own your own little printing operation because what you basically did amounted to sexual harassment. Trust me, men have been sued and taken down for less.
Yes, Your Honor.
You cannot be asking women for back rubs and do my laundry and brushing up against them in the office. No, you cannot. I have no idea why you've wasted everybody's time and brought her to court today to sue her for $600. I mean, clearly she worked off $150 worth of filing in 4 weeks.
Well, Your Honor, I had to pay someone else to come in for 5 days to finish the work that she left.
Yeah, because you're so busy worrying her to death about doing your laundry, rubbing your back, and coming in between the file cabinet, you threw her all off. You made her uncomfortable. And that's your fault, not hers.
That was not
Judgment
my
for the
intention.
defendant, court is adjourned. I'm done with it. You know better.
All rise.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's case is dismissed.
I needed my money.
You don't need the money. I gave you the money. I worked off what I owed you. You didn't need to take it this far.
Well, I had to pay someone else to come in and finish your work. So.
That was not my problem. You shouldn't have been so inappropriate.
No, it was my problem because
Yeah.
I needed my money.
Coming up,
My dog, like he was just acting different. He was throwing up and all of this. So then I got really worried, like what's going on? When we took him to the vet, and when we took him to the vet, is when, like she said that there was poison. The reason why he was acting like that, he was poisoned.
David and Sophia Nunez claim they were shocked that the beautiful garden they had installed was the reason their dog almost died. Michael Crest says the co-plaintiffs only asked for plants that were non-toxic to kids.
Good day, everyone. Good day. This is the case of Nunez versus Crest. Mr. and Mrs. Nunez, you are suing Mr. Crest for $2,569 in veterinary bills for your dog eating poisonous plants. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And the defendant, you claim you provided the exact services you were contracted to do. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Start from the beginning, Mr. and Ms. Nunez. You were getting plants.
Yes. in our
Okay,
backyard.
explain to the court what
So-
you contracted Mr. Crest to do.
You know, my wife's always wanted a beautiful garden, so,
It has always been my dream.
yeah. So, why not provide that for her? She contracted this individual here, and things just didn't go as
How did you
planned.
find Mr. Crest, Ms. Nunez?
Yeah, so we found him online. So I was able to find him online. I saw so many good reviews when I was looking online for that.
Mr. Crest, do you remember getting the call from Mr. or Mrs. Nunez about her wanting you to do their yard.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
All right, and what did that call entail? What were you talking about?
The initial call was pretty general, but I did meet her at her home. She did have some very detailed, inspirational pictures that she gave me, showing me what she wanted from this job. She did specify that they had a 2-year-old son. This garden needed to be safe for their child to be in. We had an arrangement that none of the flowers, none of the plants were going to be toxic.
Coming up,
When I came home, she told me that the dog wasn't acting right. I saw the dog. The dog was almost dead. He was lying on the ground with his tongue hanging out.
we're back with the case of David and Sophia Nunez, who brought landscaper Michael Kress to court for planting a toxic garden.
Was this arrangement in writing?
Yes, it was.
Yes, it
Did
was.
you bring the contract?
I have it right here.
May I see it, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Continue.
So we agreed that none of the plants would be poisonous. As a landscaper, I know my plants quite well. I happen to know that none of those plants are dangerous to people in any way, shape, or form.
I see in the agreement that you're to plant non-poisonous plants. Customers going to pre-purchase the seeds.
That's correct.
So what went wrong? Did you get the garden you wanted?
Well, everything in the beginning, nothing was was wrong. Like, it was beautiful. Like, he did a great job. I was extremely happy. He was happy. I was happy. So everything was fine. But then we got a dog. And a month after we got a dog.
A month or so, yeah.
And then everything was fine. But all of a sudden, I realized that my dog, like, he was just acting different. He was throwing up and all of this. So then I got really worried, like, what's going on? So that's when we took him to the vet. And when we took him to the vet is when, like, she said that there was poison. The reason why he was acting like that, he was poisoned.
When I found the dog, when I came home, she told me that the dog wasn't acting right. I saw the dog. The dog was almost dead. He was lying on the ground with his tongue hanging out, almost lifeless. When we arranged for him to put all the plants in our garden, we specifically told him we wanted nothing not toxic because we have a 2-year-old son. You're right. Yeah, the dog wasn't around yet, but I mean, he had to be aware that animals would eventually get to these plants because there's rabbits, there's squirrels, raccoons, all kind of stuff that that could be toxic too. I don't want to find any dead animals in my garden.
Judge Lake's verdict when We the People returns.
When they specifically said, we don't want anything poisonous, you understood what that meant?
I understood.
Or what was your understanding?
My understanding was that they didn't want any plants in their garden that could be potentially toxic to their 2-year-old child. They said they did not want any plants in their garden that were dangerous to humans.
Why should you have to explain that, though?
Because
said
there
that-
are
I said-
things that are
I said
dangerous
that.
to lots of different animals that aren't dangerous
Why
to
would you
humans.
want something
Chocolate is
Now you
dangerous to
wanna
dogs.
talk.
Is it
Let's get
dangerous
some
to humans?
order. Let's get some order. You should have, just like you're just arguing about in open court today, said there are so many variables to what is toxic. All you had to do was ask them one question. When you say nothing poisonous, do you mean poisonous to humans, animals, or both? In this instance, I do believe, Mr. Kress, you failed to ask one important question that a reasonable person in your business at that time with a family and a yard and a young child should have asked. For that reason, judgment for the plaintiff for $2,569. Court is adjourned.
All rise.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the co-plaintiffs. The defendant owes $2,569.
I respect Judge Lake, but I completely disagree with this. I mean, I'm sorry about what happened to your dog. I love dogs, but you did not tell me you were getting one, so I don't think there's much else I could have done.
So what you're saying is you're not sorry.
What I'm saying is I didn't know you were going to have a dog.
Megan Thomas claims the contents of her purse were ruined at the nail salon when an inebriated animated customer sent acetone flying. Jalissa White says it was an accident, but the salon is at fault for leaving the bottle open.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lauren Lake presiding.
You may be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Good morning, Sean. Thank you. Good day, everyone. Good day. This is the case of Thomas versus White. Ms. Thomas, you are suing Ms. White for $636 for damages to your leather purse. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
All right. So what happens? How is it that she causes damage to a purse of yours?
Well, ma'am, Miss Lauren, again.
Judge Lake.
Judge Lake.
Okay. That's all right. Miss Lauren is good outside of court, but we're in court,
Lake.
so is Judge Lake. All right?
Judge Lake, as I was sitting down from getting my pedicure to get my manicure, the nail tech, Mr. Kevin, he brought me over mimosas because at this particular nail salon, they serve mimosas.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
Those are the
Sister
best
here-
ones.
The best one.
Yes,
Yeah, I
ma'am.
like the
Sister
ones
here-
that have
Especially with the little
Sister
orange
here
juice.
was
Less
on
orange
her
juice, the better.
third. She was
Miss
on her
White
third.
said with a little bit of orange juice, just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
That's how I like mine too.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. So, but go ahead. So we're having mimosas. Are you having one too?
Yes, ma'am, I had one.
Okay.
Sister here was on her third, because mind you, she was already in the nail salon. That's the first thing she asked them, where's her drink?
Yeah.
But she
Oh, okay.
walked through
Yeah.
the door.
Yeah.
She wanted her
Yeah.
drink. You hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
I
She
hear
was
you.
ready. So, as I sat down, from the pedicure chair
Right.
to the nail chair.
Now, okay.
She was stationed in the next station next to me.
So the next manicure station. So
Yes,
now you're at
ma'am.
that
Yes.
long table where the technicians are behind in a row, and then you're next to her in a row?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So she's all up, and she was explaining something to Miss Kim, the nail tech that she normally frequents, and all of a sudden she flailing all around and doing all this, and telling all her business.
Okay,
and
I will
there
admit
goes
I
the
am a little
acetone
expressive.
in my purse. I'm speaking,
I am a
ma'am.
little expressive. I do have a tendency to talk with my hands, and sometimes, I get overexcited, and then I knock things down.
Drama queen.
But
No.
hold on now. Wait, what story were you telling, Miss White?
Well, I'm a loyal customer at Tiny's nail salon. Okay, so I'm there. Everybody knows me. Everybody knows my name. It's like that show Cheers.
Yes.
It's like everybody
Sometimes you
knows
wanna go.
Lisa. Yeah, we're gonna have a good time. 'cause
Yes,
they
you
serve
want to
free
go where
drinks.
everybody knows your name.
Yes, they serve free drinks.
Alcoholic
And once
again.
again,
You
that
heard
little bit of orange juice.
alcoholic.
I'm not alcoholic, thank you.
Alcoholic.
But anyway, that day, everybody wanted to know what happened with my car situation because I explained it to them before. So my car, the engine broke down, and I took it to the auto shop. And on the way back, I was driving it. I made a left turn, and the wheel went flying off. And then, I didn't realize
the
the acetone
in my purse.
was
When she
open.
flew,
Okay,
the
wait.
It was
acetone
an
flew in
open
my purse.
acetone bottle. You spilled in her purse.
Let's get some more. This story is fascinating.
Okay.
But I have to listen to each person one at a time to be able to understand it.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're in the story about your car.
Right. And I talk with my hands.
I get it.
So the acetone, it was open, an open acetone bottle spilled inside her purse.
So as you're talking,
Uh-huh.
an acetone bottle,
Yeah.
which was being used at one of the stations.
Right.
You talked about how the wheel.
Yeah, the wheel went flying off, and there I was stuck making my left turn.
But your hand.
Yeah,
flicked-
my hand went and hit it, and it spilled inside her purse, which she was next, I don't know, whichever one, but
Okay, so you admit your hand hit the acetone, it fell inside her purse.
Right.
Now, why was the acetone open? Was somebody
Exactly.
soaking off
That's
some
the-
nails?
Well, that's the nail tech. That Miss
So
Kim
wait,
or
was the
Kevin,
acetone?
I don't know
hold
which
on
one.
now, Miss White. Was the acetone in a bottle without the top, or was the acetone like in something like when they put it sometime in the little bowl when they're trying to make the little?
No, this was in a bottle. It was a bottle, and it was. She might have just poured it. I guess getting ready to serve me. She might have just opened it up and poured it into a bowl, but she forgot to put the top on.
All right, so it goes in Ms. Thomas's purse. So you're sitting there getting your nails done. Next thing you know, this acetone's in your purse.
Coming up,
I also had a picture of my grandmother and myself as a kid, as a little girl, that was very sentimental to me, that was totally ruined, Your Honor.
and later,
I told him that I was not prepared to go off trail. I was only prepared to go on a normal hike. I felt pressured and a lot of anxiety over going off trail with someone who I had known for only a month.
we're back with the case of Megan Thomas, who blames Jalissa White for destroying her purse with acetone.
What happens next?
Well, the nail techs and her that, you know, they tried to clean it out. They got some towels and napkins and stuff, tried to clean it out or what have you.
I helped.
And, you know, at the time, you know, it wasn't as bad as it is now, because, you know, it just happened. But my passport was ruined. My, you know, important, you know, little money order receipts that was ruined. It was just, I had a lot of things.
Did you bring the purse in
I
today?
also had a picture of my grandmother and myself as a kid, as a little girl, that was very sentimental to me, that was totally ruined, Your Honor.
All right,
Well, I apologize
I know
for that.
that's difficult. Did you bring the purse in?
I did, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I did.
I'd like to see that.
Yes, ma'am. As you can see, the inside and the bottom part is ruined by $600.
That's not $600 right
Yes,
there,
ma'am,
Your Honor.
it
No,
is.
it's not. No, no,
Your Honor,
That's
I have the
grandmama's church.
receipt.
She takes to
Your
church
Honor,
on Sunday school.
I have the receipt.
All your evidence.
Okay, yes, sir. I have the receipt of said purchase of my purse,
That's
ma'am.
not even leather.
Please, ma'am.
You say it ain't even leather.
And
Let me
definitely
see
not worth $600.
let me see the receipt for this purse. At the Queen of Diamonds boutique. Okay. Purse was $600 plus tax. Do they still sell this purse?
I don't know, Your Honor. I honestly don't know.
Did
I
you
don't
try
think
to
so.
look up to see if you could replace the bag?
Yes, ma'am, I did, and they didn't have that specific color. When I bought the purse, I bought it for a particular outfit that I had, and they didn't have that specific color. They had only different colors.
And you had your purse, what, sitting on
the hook, you know, it's like at the nail salon, and I know you frequent as well, Your Honor. They have hooks like where
Yes,
you can
on the side where you can put your
yes,
bag.
ma'am, where you can hook your bag up, and it was open because. In the midst of me sitting down, I was looking. I went into my purse to get my phone out to show Kevin, the nail tech, the design that I wanted for that specific set. So that's how it ended up being open. You
When
know,
the acetone went
yes,
flying.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Because I went in and got my phone to show him
Why would you
the,
All right,
the
so
specific
hold on.
design
Miss White, I
wanted.
want to go back to you.
Okay.
When you see that you flicked or you telling your story, the acetone goes in her purse and her bag, and you all trying to clean it up,
Right.
what do you say to her?
Well, I apologized to her. I said, I'm sorry. You know,
Your
and I
Honor,
went and
that
grabbed,
was
I
not
went
an
and grabbed a
apology.
towel and tried to clean it
No,
out.
no.
And I was like, well, hey, you know, accidents happen.
Exactly.
all right.
Not an apology, just a okay, well, whatever. Just blow
So you
off.
felt like she basically just blew this off.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And so did you feel like the acetone, or could you see the damage to her bag, Ms. White, at the time?
No, because she took it and went with it. I mean, Miss Kim had it in her hands, and she was wiping it down, and Kevin had it, and he was trying to clean out the inside, and then she just took it and snatched it. Whoever left the bottle open, it's not my fault. I mean, it should be the salon's problem.
If you hadn't been doing what you was doing,
That's just me. I'm
Listen,
Jalisa. I
listen.
don't talk with my hands.
That
okay?
is the thing. Let me tell you something,
I
Ms.
can't
White.
even go back to the
Ms.
nail
White,
shop.
Ms. White, that's the thing about accidents. They're not on purpose. They aren't planned and they aren't intentional.
I understand
It's
that.
just something that happens. In the process of servicing clients, an open acetone bottle is a very reasonable possibility at a nail salon. It would be different if you said that it was in some odd place, maybe, but it's basically where it should be at the time it should be there for the purpose of servicing clients.
Right.
It just so happened because you've admitted in open court that you are just a very gregarious, you're a very outspoken
Right.
and animated person.
Yes.
Things like that happen.
Right.
And when they do happen, you offer to remedy the situation. It is the opinion and the decision of this court that at the time that the damage happened, you should have exchanged numbers, because you can't really see how much damage is going to happen until it dries.
Right.
But she lost significant things, and you can see that the whole bottom of the purse is stained from it, not to mention the inside is damaged. Now, you can't control whether you knock acetone on a $6 purse, a $60 purse, or a $636 purse.
You really think that's $630?
Well, unfortunately for you, she actually brought a receipt. And the receipt matches the bag, and so this court has to honor the evidence. Now, if you would have brought in a receipt for a bag that didn't cost that much and say, Your Honor, look at this bag for $136. This is her same bag, but you didn't present any of that evidence. Do you have it?
No.
Therefore, it's the order of this court. Judgment for the plaintiff is $636. Court is adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All rise.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $636.
I told you, justice was served.
I can't even go back to my nail shop
Well,
because of you.
That's your fault. No, that's
No, that's
your
not my
fault.
fault.
Your
I am
fault.
Jaleesa,
for
honey.
being,
I'm gonna talk the way I'm gonna talk.
Jaleesa, honey, no,
I can't look at this. I'm in the courthouse with my nails not done.
Coming up,
Why not just say, no, thank you.
Well,
I'll just do this hike.
Well,
I'm having a great time
I told
doing
him I
this.
had reservations and that I didn't want to do it, but he just kept egging me on.
Lauren Hopper claims her date pressured her to hike off trail, and while she was trying to keep up, she fell on slippery rocks. Chandler Howard says Ms. Hopper didn't object to the activity and told him she was an expert hiker.
Good day, everyone. Good day. This is the case of Hopper versus Howard. Ms. Hopper, you are suing Mr. Howard for $3,075.50 for personal injury. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Tell the court, how were you injured?
We went on a hike as a third date, and when he decided that we were going to go off trail to see a special surprise, I told him that I was not prepared to go off trail. I was only prepared to go on a normal hike. I felt pressured and a lot of anxiety over going off trail with someone who I had known for only a month. They were large rocks at the beginning, and then as we progressed further, the rocks got a lot smaller and more treacherous and slippery, and he was going much farther ahead than I was. I was much farther behind, and I felt nervous that he was going to leave me. So I tried to pick up the pace.
So wait, he convinced you to go on this hike? You were nervous about going, and then he hiked way up ahead of you and wasn't there to spot you?
Correct.
What kind of date was this, Mr. Howard?
It was supposed to be an adventurous hiking date, Your Honor.
All right. You couldn't help the lady up the side
I
of
was
the
staying
canyon?
close. Lauren had mentioned earlier that she was an expert hiker, so I thought she was going to do...
when did she mention she was an expert hiker? Because she seems like a nervous walker.
Coming up,
I go into the water, and my foot gets caught between two of the rocks, and it twists one way, and I twist the other way.
we're back with the case of Lauren Hopper, who brought Chandler Howard to court over a disastrous third date.
Did you express any concern about hiking being the activity of choice for the third date, Ms. Hopper?
No, I actually do like hiking. I have hiked previously in my life. So when he said the name of the trail, I said, that sounds great. And as soon as we hung up, I looked up the trail to get familiar with it. It was about a 2-mile hike round trip. I thought, that's fine, I can do that. It said moderately advanced. It wasn't an issue until he said, let's go off trail.
Why not just say, no, thank you.
Well,
I'll just do this hike.
Well,
I'm having a great time
I told
doing
him
this.
I had reservations and that I didn't want to do it, but he just kept egging me on. So we go off trail, and there's this rock bed that has a little stream running through it, and it seems fine at first because there's a lot of large rocks that are easily manageable, but the farther along we got on this trail, the rocks kind of spaced out and the water got higher up, so there was more slippery moss-covered rocks.
Yes.
I jumped from one rock to the next, and more like a little hop, and my foot kind of slides over the top of this rock, and I brace myself on my arm, but I go into the water, and my foot gets caught between two of the rocks, and it twists one way, and I twist the other way, and I yell out in pain, and that's when Chandler turned around and saw that I had fallen in.
Why weren't you behind her? Why weren't you leading her? Why weren't you holding her hand, her arm, or why weren't you positioned so that if something did happen to her, she didn't have to yell for you?
I thought she was going to be capable enough walking through this spot. I didn't think it was that big of a deal.
So when you asked for her to go off trail, did you sense the hesitation? Was that obvious to you?
She was a little hesitant at first, but I thought it was just because she had been to this spot before. She didn't really know where we were going.
Judge Lake's verdict when We the People returns.
This is what you call a terrible accident. The question then becomes, is Mr. Howard responsible for the accident? Or did you take the risk on yourself to go hiking in an area that you were unfamiliar with? You took the risk. Now, I'll say this. As a woman, you need to be empowered enough to say what you can do, how much you can do, and if you're not comfortable doing any more, that's okay. And I feel you. When you like a guy, you just want to hang out and you want to seem like the cool, easy breezy, beautiful girl, right? That's how it is. So I understand this. I hate that you got injured on the hike. I hope that you've healed, and I hope that you will hike again because it's a great way to exercise and find peace. But at the end of the day, you're responsible for your own injuries in this instance. With that said, judgment for the defendant, court is adjourned.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's case is dismissed.
I think the judge made a correct, honest, answer here. I think it really shows who you are as a person. I was starting to fall in love, but I feel let down, so.
I respect the judge's word, and I will take what she said to heart.
Jeffrey Lennox claims his ex-wife lied about having cosmetic surgery, so he was shocked when their child didn't look like either of them. Tanya Pointer says her ex-husband is superficial and called their baby ugly.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lauren Lake presiding. Hello, Your Honor.
Hello, please be seated. Good day, everyone. Good day. This is the case of Lennox versus Pointer. Mr. Lennox, you are suing Ms. Pointer for $9,800 for breach of contract. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Pointer, you say the plaintiff is being superficial and you did not breach any contract. Is that correct? Your Honor. All right, I'll start with you, Mr. Lennox. What happened?
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, what happened, I imagine back to when I was a child, and on the counter at my family home, I see photos of my family going down generations, and I saw little me there, and I imagined one day that I would have my own child to have a picture with on that counter. So fast forward, and I'm now looking for a wife, and like every young man dreams, I'm sure, like a lot of people dream, they imagine who their wife is going or their husband is going to look like, and I was imagining somebody that was tall, ambitious, mentally fit and capable, honest and attractive. I feel that I have received certain opportunities and gained a lot through my looks, I have to say, and I wanted my child to be raised in a similar fashion. So I was, looking for.
You taking 10 minutes to say you wanted to have a baby that you thought was pretty.
I wanted to have a child. Yeah, I wanted to have the life that I thought of. Yes, Your Honor.
And the life you thought of was a life of what? A child that looked like you?
Yeah, a child that looked like yes, Your Honor. But not. I found Tanya at the gym after a spin class, and whatever boxes I may have needed to check, she seemed to check all of them. Look at her.
You met Mr. Lennox at the gym?
Yes, Your Honor.
You liked him, he liked you?
Yes, Your Honor.
You started a relationship?
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you or were you not forthcoming about your life, your family, your background, your past?
I was, as much as I felt like I needed to disclose. I did not disclose to him certain things about my past. I did let him know that my parents were killed in a plane crash, leaving my brother and I all alone.
You know how long it took me to figure that out, Your Honor? We're talking months of our relationship before she would cry when I'd ask her.
He was very much so focused on my facial
features. And I eventually got her to tell me.
So I didn't really feel like there was an opportunity for me to share a heartfelt moment with him.
So wait, you all are in a relationship, but you didn't ever feel there was time for you to have a heartfelt moment with a man you're in a relationship with? That doesn't make sense.
Well,
Thank you.
the issue at hand is my cosmetic procedures. After my parents were killed in the plane crash, I underwent a ton of cosmetic procedures so that I would not have to be reminded of my mother and what had happened to her. So I did. This is all cosmetic surgeries. And I just wanted to be away with my past. And he felt like because I did not disclose that to him, that now our child is ugly. We just had a child, and he started calling my baby ugly.
That is not what
my baby's only 1 year old. He's handsome. And he says that because the child does not look like his family lineage,
that
my baby is ugly.
Your Honor, that's
Well,
not.
Mr. Lennox, I don't understand how you could be upset with what a new baby looks like. Why are you upset about that?
It is not my child's looks that upset me.
So what is it?
It was seeing my child for the first time and how it felt I was looking at a complete stranger, didn't look like either parent. It put into motion in my head now what had been, I guess, percolating for a while, that this woman that I thought I knew was not telling me about her life, and my first thought was she must be cheating on me. This child doesn't look like me.
So the baby, you felt like the baby didn't look like you, and it didn't look like Miss Pointer, so you were like, I'm not the father.
Coming up.
I made it very clear, Your Honor.
So you said, I want to have a child with you, but just tell me, have you had any plastic surgery?
Your Honor, I didn't feel the need to ask. I mean, look at her. It's very well done. She looks amazing.
Well done. You acting
Now.
like somebody baked her in the oven.
And later.
We got escorted out of the...
Oh, because after the phone flew and all that
Yes.
happened, y'all got escorted out of the ballet.
We're back with the case of Jeffrey Lennox, who brought his ex-wife Tanya Pointer to court after he says she lied to him.
She knows my position on plastic surgery. I think it's disingenuous and it lacks integrity. I would not have married, let alone pay for an IVF fertilization treatment with someone who had an addiction to plastic surgery, like Tanya certainly does. And
Did you say that before you all decided to have a sexual relationship?
I made it very clear, Your Honor.
So you said, I want to have a child with you. I'm willing to pay for IVF, but just tell me, have you had any plastic surgery?
Your Honor, I didn't feel the need to ask. I mean, look at her. It's very well done. She looks amazing.
Well done. You acting
Now.
like somebody baked her in the oven.
With all the surgery she's gotten, which is, by the way, is worth way more than the $10,000, the $9,800 that I'm here seeking to recoup, it is as if, I mean, somebody really went to work on her. And of course, I don't know anything about that, nothing about that part of her life.
What does this mean? I'm not liking the way you're objectifying
Your
Miss
Honor,
Pointer.
and I apologize for that, but I offer into evidence a photo here that I found. And please tell me, Your Honor, if that looks like the same person to you.
Actually, she looks a little different, but the shape of her face, the shape of her eyes, her eyebrows,
and
her nose is different.
May I just say that I am not ashamed of that photo. I did not get those cosmetic procedures because I thought that I was ugly. I got those cosmetic procedures because it was traumatizing looking in the mirror and being reminded of my mother's face. So it was very devastating for me to find out that he felt like our child was ugly. I did not get those procedures to become this different person. I got those procedures so that I wouldn't be reminded of what had happened in my past.
Then why did you say that you're the new Tanya now and the old Tanya is dead and forget about her? I mean,
because the old Tanya died when her parents died.
But you didn't know the old Tanya anyway, right?
I didn't, and I still I don't know the new one either. I had to pull teeth to get
But wait a
even
minute.
this.
So your testimony is you don't know her, but you also decided to pay for IVF treatments to have a baby with her, but you didn't know her. She wouldn't answer questions. She wouldn't tell you anything about her past. She wouldn't let you know about her family. But you know what? This is the girl I want to have a baby with through IVF. Make it make sense, Mr. Lennox. I don't have all day.
She assured me that who she was loved me unconditionally, dearly, and that she was wholly honest with me and that there was no need for me to worry. Now I find out that that entire argument, that entire line, which she allowed me to believe, what I allowed myself to believe, that was a cover story to prevent me from understanding that she hacked at her body to upgrade herself. I mean, her brother apparently used it to try to start a new life. She upgrades her physical form or something.
Your Honor.
Hold on. Why are you being so melodramatic about plastic surgery?
It's the lies.
You say you're suing her for breach of contract. What's the contract? And it better say in this contract, I'm going to pay for this IVF as long as you are the natural, original version of yourself with no plastic surgery. I want to see that contract. Where is that?
Your Honor, it's a marriage contract. I feel like I have been used. The damage is plain.
She was beautiful before the surgery. She's beautiful after the surgery. What is the issue? I want to know what your damages are.
I was lied to, and I can't have that lack of trust in a relationship for the rest of my life.
Okay, so you want to get a divorce?
We have gotten a divorce, Your Honor.
Okay, so now you're divorced.
Yes,
so
we are.
now what's your issue? You got a divorce. You're not with the liar. You're not married to anybody that had plastic surgery anymore. What is your issue?
My issue is that we did not have a prenuptial engagement going, and I want some measure of honesty from you, Tanya. Some
Your
measure of
Honor,
honesty that you understand.
Honesty don't cost $9,800. I want to know, why are you up in here when I could be having my morning tea? Why are you suing?
Because I said I had an ugly baby.
There you go. Wasting my time. Is a picture of the baby in the evidence?
Yes, it is. There he is right there.
So you're angry because this baby doesn't look the way you envisioned in your mind. This is insanity. You should be ashamed of yourself for even coming in here with this nonsense.
Your Honor, if I may, I felt I've made it very clear. I had a dream when I was young, and it was to not have a disingenuous, lying, deceitful wife, and that is what I found that I've had.
No, what we found is that you are delusional.
Okay.
And guess what? If this is really what you wanted, you didn't have the agreement that reflected what your desires truly were. I don't know if this is because you all have broken up. I really don't know what this is about, but you've stood in this courtroom today and got on my last nerve. I don't have any more time for a judgment for the defendant. Court is adjourned.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's case is dismissed.
I'm just so thankful that someone else can agree with me
Yeah,
and
it's a relief to get
understand.
away with more upgrades, huh? More money
upgrades.
that's
You're
not yours
so
that you deserve.
superficial. You're still superficial.
Yeah, you just-
Have you learned anything?
You and the judge got along way too well.
Coming up,
I was bored out of my mind and decided to text a few of my friends, and he got angry and grabbed it from me.
I was not angry.
He got angry because I wasn't enjoying it as much as him. When he grabbed it, it flew under the seat in front of us and cracked.
Minden Darcy claims her date made a scene at the ballet, then cracked her phone when he tried to grab it. Jonathan McHenry says Ms. Darcy was rudely texting, distracting everyone around them. Mr. McHenry is countersuing for $303.
Good day, everyone. Good day. This is the case of Darcy versus McHenry. Ms. Darcy, you are suing Mr. McHenry for $224 over a cracked cell phone screen. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And defendant Mr. McHenry, you claim that the plaintiff caused this issue, and you're countersuing for $303 for the cost of the ballet tickets. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, let's start with you, Ms. Darcy. Tell the court what happened.
Your Honor, I'm here today because Jonathan cracked my phone screen because he was throwing a tantrum when I had my phone out at the ballet. I was bored out of my mind and decided to text a few of my friends, and he got angry and grabbed it from me.
I was not angry.
He got angry because I wasn't enjoying it as much as him, and when he grabbed it, it flew under the seat in front of us and cracked.
Mr. McHenry, I do want to hear from you as well. You had good intentions when you bought the ballet tickets. You thought it'd be something Ms. Darcy would enjoy.
Yes.
You enjoy the ballet?
Oh, quite a lot.
Was
Your
this
Honor.
oh, okay, so this wasn't your first ballet.
No, I go and I see.
He goes with his mom.
The ballet well, I had to go with my mom because she wouldn't go with me.
All right, so for the 6-month anniversary, limo, ballet tickets, it sounds like a nice date to me. Good seats?
Yes, we had the best seats in the house.
That's the only seats to have.
Coming up,
I was so embarrassed.
Well, what made you think you gonna grab a grown woman's phone and...
We're back with a dispute between Minden Darcy and Jonathan McHenry over a damaged cell phone and ballet tickets.
This young lady was doing a very beautiful pirouette, and then out of nowhere is this cell phone like blurring all of this light everywhere. And I wanted us to enjoy the evening and have a really good time, and I thought we were.
She admitted in court she was texting because she was bored.
Yes.
So then what did you say?
Well, I said, Minden, put down your phone. Like, you know, there's this, didn't you see the sign?
He didn't say it in the calm way that he's saying it now. Like, it was aggression, and it was like...
How aggressive? You're in the middle of the ballet. He didn't scream, did he?
Okay, it was a condescending tone, Your Honor, and it's like he has this issue when things don't go his way. He wants to talk to me like he's a parent and not a boyfriend, and I don't appreciate that.
I'm
and it's my
not
phone.
your father. I'm not
and
a parent.
I feel like if we're in a setting where everyone is focused on the stage and I am bored, instead of falling asleep, which I could have done and I thought I was gonna do, I decided to just get in our group chat.
Well, I just, you know, she didn't turn her phone off.
How many times did you ask her?
I believe it was 3 times. I just took the phone and I tried to turn it off.
He snatched the phone,
politely.
Your Honor. He didn't take it. He snatched the phone.
And she pulled back and it shot across the room. It flew underneath the seat of this other couple that was there. And
who were already annoyed because he was causing a scene. Everyone was looking at us like it was really embarrassing.
What made you think you gonna grab a grown woman's phone and take it? But I could see how that could be distracting, right? Mm-hmm. But what I don't agree with are your methods.
We got escorted out of the...
Oh, because after the phone flew and all that happened, y'all got escorted out of the ballet.
Yes.
Judge Lake's verdict, when we the people...
Unfortunately for you, Mr. McHenry, you do owe Miss Darcy for the damage you caused to her phone screen. That was your doing. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And because you chose the person you'd like to accompany to the ballet with you, you gifted her a ticket, and that is really all you're doing. You could have seen the entire ballet, and she would have just been on the phone, and you might have broken up with her after, but you would have seen the ballet you paid for. So unfortunately, your actions caused you to miss the ballet, and not her. Now, you could have also been cold-blooded like her and just said, excuse me, I'm gonna go to the restroom, and gone to get the security, and you could have had them escort her out, and you could have stayed and enjoyed the ballet. Then you wouldn't be missing anything. A lot of other options. Unfortunately, you chose the wrong one. Judgment for the plaintiff for $224. The defendant's counterclaim is dismissed. Court is adjourned.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $224.
I'm going to take that money and I'm going to go to a concert and actually have fun for the first time in 6 months. I guess it doesn't do any harm. My phone's getting fixed, so I accept your apology.
Carrie Thatcher claims a tequila bottle got smashed when her stepdaughter had a hard time hearing the truth. Daniela Koch says her stepmom was out of line when she insulted her mother.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lauren Lake now presiding.
Please be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello, Sean. Thank you. Good day, everyone.
Good day.
This is the case of Thatcher versus Koch. Miss Thatcher, you are suing Miss Koch for $250, the cost of a bottle of tequila. And the defendant, Miss Koch, says that you're just being spiteful. So what happened?
Well, we were talking, having a good time, and then I had to tell her some very kind of disturbing news.
What news was that?
That me and her father were going to be getting a divorce.
All right.
And then, even more disturbing, I had to tell her, she asked me why. And because of our relationship, I didn't want to lie to her, so I told her her father and mother were having an affair.
Do you remember that day?
I do.
Can you take me back to that day?
Yeah, so pretty much I was coming home from the holidays from school. My daddy called me like, hey, baby girl, you know, come home. We have something we want to talk to you about. I get there, my father isn't even there. She is. And, you know, we were just, you know, kicking and everything. We began to drink the tequila. So pretty much while we're drinking, she gets a little aggravated, agitated. The situation gets escalated. And she tells me, she breaks the news to me, like I said, without my father being present. She knows what time he gets off of work. She told me that they were getting divorced, and I asked why. Then she starts to get escalating everything. She told me that my mother was a, excuse my language, you know what I'm saying? She was calling my mother names.
Did you call her mother a?
Tell the truth.
No, Your Honor, what happened was we have a very close relationship. And I did tell her why. And kind of between the drinks and our close relationship, I guess I kind of went outside and was like, you know, home record, da-da-da. And didn't really...
Who says that to their daughter?
That, wait a minute, I'm talking about her mother. I wasn't speaking directly like your mother's a
How many tequilas had you had?
Right.
Well, we had a couple drinks. You know, that was our thing.
She was
like,
down
we
to
had
most
a
of the
close
bottle.
relationship, and I was the first person who took her out on her 21st birthday and ordered tequila sunrise. So that was kind of our theme whenever we would get together and have girl talk and girl time.
So during this girl time, you decided to break it to her that her father was sleeping with her mother again.
Without my father
that
being
time,
present.
It was planned, and we were waiting
Who does
for
that?
my ex-husband to get there, but he didn't get there, and we were talking, and kind of, it came a little premature.
What happens with this tequila bottle?
So once I told her that we were getting a divorce and she asked why, like I said, I did say, you know, home record, those sorts of things. And her arms started flailing and she's like,
Your
don't
Honor.
talk about my mother like this and that. And she hits my hand and my hand hits the tequila.
That makes
and
sense
the
to you.
tequila, next thing I know, is on the ground busted.
The tequila you were drinking?
Yeah, the tequila bottle.
How much tequila was left in the bottle?
Oh, more than half.
Does anybody have any evidence?
I got it. I got it right here.
I do.
Thank you.
And here's the receipt for the tequila bottle.
It's not about the alcohol at all.
Yeah.
You're taking out a situation where you're angry at her mother on her. And I just let you testify here today, Ms. Thatcher, about how close you were. And I'm sitting up here thinking to myself, why would a woman that worked that hard to establish a relationship with a young woman, in an instance where the foundation that the daughter thought she had been destroyed, whether it was by her mother or not? You all had a very real relationship and you were a family. You were basically telling her the family that you know with your dad and me and you, it's not going to be. You was chomping at the bit.
Thank you.
Because you sick of her mama. And so that's why you brought this up before her daddy got home.
Coming up.
You were drinking and she was drinking and you was drunk enough to try to call her mother a homewrecker and you was drunk. Yeah. Because ain't nobody in their right mind trying that.
Very.
She is a homewrecker.
You had
See? It's coming out now. True character.
And later.
What did he call and say to you?
He was saying that I'm unprofessional, that I don't do the work, that I'm not actually a creative.
We're back with the case of Carrie Thatcher, who brought her stepdaughter Daniela Koch to court over a broken bottle of tequila.
You all got into an altercation because you started calling her mother names.
Who's not going to get upset at that?
Who is not going?
Thank you.
Ms. Koch?
I'm sorry. Because this is really irritating. And
well, the bottom line is, I'm talking.
I apologize.
There's no young woman that's just going to let another woman just talk about her mother like a dog, whether her mother was wrong or right. So the fact that an altercation ensued is not unheard of. So what responsibility do you have in this?
Well, I have and will apologize for calling her mother a name, but she still has no right.
Go ahead and do it then.
I'm sorry for calling your mother a name.
You sorry for wasting?
I shouldn't have, but I still feel like you shouldn't have broke my bottle of tequila. And you didn't have that right.
She did not break. You tell the story. This is the problem. And all this drives me crazy. You spend all this time doing paperwork, waiting for a court date, and come up here and testify against your own self.
Well, I
don't even understand what's going on here. You told a whole, am I the only one in here that heard it?
Nope. Tell the truth.
I told the truth. I admitted what I did, but she still didn't have a fight.
You don't have any business coming into court suing for a $250 bottle worth of tequila that you had already pretty much drank the tequila. If you were drinking and she was drinking and you was drunk enough to try to call her mother a homewrecker and you was drunk. Yeah. Because ain't nobody in their right mind trying that.
Very.
Well, she is a homewrecker.
You had
See?
See?
It's coming out now. True character. Come on now.
She wanted to say it.
She is.
Just like you wanted to say it then, you wanted to say it now because you're hurt. Because, let me tell you something. The fact that he's now back with his ex, that's hurtful.
It is, especially when her mother came to me and we had developed a rapport saying that she really appreciated the interest that I took in her daughter, the care and the genuine love.
And
to turn around and then sleep with my husband and have an affair with him
Go
after
ahead
I've
and let it
given
out
all
then, Miss
this.
Thatcher. We
Thank
here for
you.
you.
Yes.
Just pretend that you lying on the couch right now. We'll be a therapist.
Okay.
Go ahead, because
Okay.
you need to get it out. You are hurt. You are offended. You are betrayed. You are disgusted. Go ahead.
And can I say one thing before she goes?
Stop talking.
All of
Go
them.
ahead.
Everything you said. And just how much care I put into her daughter when her daughter was going through puberty and didn't feel pretty, didn't feel loved. I put so much care into her. Even her mother came to me and thanked me for that and said, yeah, we got off to a rocky start. I don't like how you were,
And all the while, you thought the relationship was in a good place. She was sleeping with your husband.
Yes.
That's what hurt you. That's what you needed to say. That's what you felt. And that's why you came here today over $250. It's not for the tequila. $250, honey, will never cover the price of the pain that you just outlined, because it's real.
Can I say one thing? All right, I'm sorry. I have my hand up.
Mercy.
I'm sorry.
You know what?
I'm sorry. This is frustrating for me, Your Honor. This really touches home because when I was a child, my parents divorced. She was the mistress. So it's just like you're upset at something that you put my family through from the jump.
No.
We have to go to family therapy and everything.
Let me spin around and give you 30 seconds now.
Thank you.
Lord have mercy. Go ahead, Miss Coke. What happened? What, Lord?
Okay, boom. 12 years old, my mother and my father talked to me and they sit me down there saying, we're separating. I go over my father's house. Guess who's there? I'm like, who is this? And it's just like she made an effort, in family therapy and everything, but it's just like, how are you upset and you're doing all of this over what my mother did to you? And you did that to my mama and me.
That is not true.
Hold on now.
What they say, what goes around comes around.
Miss Coke, you needed to get that out too.
Thank you.
We got it out in the open. And I don't know about y'all, but this is messier than that spilled bottle of tequila. Whew. Messy. You all have a lot to work through, because even with the hurt and the pain you've talked about, there was still a very real relationship that was formed. You may not be ready to discuss it and overcome these issues right in this moment, but I hope one day you will. Your case is dismissed. Judgment for the defendant. Court is adjourned.
All rise.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's case is dismissed.
I love you as my daughter, and I'm sorry. And I hope that we can build a new relationship.
I would have understanding for you, but you did all this, so I'm cool.
Coming up.
At that point, you basically say that I'm going to sue him for $750.
So I actually had let it go because after that conversation, I tried following up a few more times and he just wasn't answering me. He essentially ghosted me.
Sarah Weaver claims a former client used one of her logos without permission after he said he was unhappy with her work. Curtis Ramsey says he didn't use Ms. Weaver's logo, he just found one online that was similar.
Good day, everyone.
Good day.
This is the case of Weaver versus Ramsey. Ms. Weaver, you are suing Mr. Ramsey for $750 for using a logo without your permission. Is this correct?
This is correct.
All right, and Mr. Ramsey, you say you found the logo online.
That is correct.
Tell the court what happened, Ms. Weaver.
We signed a contract, and I promised him a logo by the 12th of April. I brought it to him. We went through several iterations of it. I even had to call him multiple times to get a follow-up to try to get feedback on it. When I sent him the final product, then he said he did not want it anymore. And yet a few months later, what did I see? But he was using it on his social media. I saw that he was using it for his new store launch.
What was the agreement? Do you have a copy of that agreement?
Yes, I have a copy of the contract right here.
Thank you.
So you had a contract, and in that contract, you're supposed to do a logo. After the third revision, you decided not to use the plaintiff anymore? You didn't like the last logo at all?
That is correct. I was very disappointed in the last one.
Why were you disappointed in it?
I felt like it was too close to the first two.
How did that conversation go?
He was saying that I'm unprofessional, that I don't do the work, that I'm not actually a creative, really challenging me and my business. I actually had let it go because after that conversation, I tried following up a few more times and he just wasn't answering me. He essentially ghosted me. And then months later, when I was on social media, I was scrolling through and I saw his clothing brand finally launched and he was using my logo. All he did, he changed the colors, a little bit of the spacing, but it essentially is the same logo I gave him.
Do you have that? Who has that?
I have that.
Coming up.
So where'd you get this from, Mr. Ramsey?
Just off of the FreeShare website. So like
It
I
just
said,
happened
I
to be
did not,
there
I didn't,
already with
I did
your
not.
We're back with a dispute between Sarah Weaver and her former client, Curtis Ramsey, over a stolen logo design.
Let me see the copy of the logo you were using.
Now, Your Honor, this is a logo that I actually got off of a FreeShare website. It's a free domain. I'm allowed to use anything on there as far as logos, as far as my branding goes.
This logo is substantially similar to the one that Ms. Weaver says she designed.
Sure, I'll admit that. But it was on a FreeShare website. So this was after. This was not directly taken from her. This
And so
was
hold
on a
on,
website.
the logo that said CR Clothing, this third final is the one that Ms. Weaver designed. The logo you're currently using is purple and gold and says CR Clothing. Clothing is just elevated a little bit more. The logo that you're using here is substantially similar to that. It's just purple and gold. The word clothing is a little higher and the R has been dropped down. So you are stating in your testimony that you found this exact logo on a free website.
That is correct.
So I actually did, after finding this, I did search online. I did a reverse image search, and I did find it on the website. However, that free domain website, I checked while I was making it. I definitely want to make sure I always have original work. I compare my work to other things that are already out there just to make sure that it doesn't look like a copy. So I checked the website. It was not there. And then months later, after he had already been using that logo, it is on there. So I believe he was the one to upload it.
Judge Lake's verdict when We the People returns.
So where'd you get this from, Mr. Ramsey?
Just off of the FreeShare website. So like I said, I did not. I didn't.
Already with
I did
your
not,
initials, but it's just a different color, and you just happen to download it.
That is correct.
I don't believe you found this particular logo. Just so happened to find it on the website with your. If you all would have shown me a D and a C, a D and an F, and maybe somehow it was. This is like the exact logo, with the letters just slightly and the words slightly rearranged. This is too substantially similar to what Ms. Weaver created. I don't believe you got it off the free website. I think you just didn't love it that much. You didn't want to pay the rest of the money, and so you just decided to tweak it a little bit on your own and get yourself a $750 logo instead of a $1,500 logo, and that's not how you do business. For that reason, judgment for the plaintiff is $750. Court is adjourned.
All rise.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $750.
Well, I hope he has learned to finish out his contracts and pay what he owes and to respect artists in the future.
I really don't think that there's any way that you could prove that I uploaded that myself, because I didn't. I think that you were originally okay with the $750 that I gave you, and then became unhappy when you saw that my business was doing well.
Sophia West claims she was supposed to split the cost of a baby shower for her first grandchild, but the baby's other grandma refuses to pay up. Isabella Castell says she didn't agree to pay for an extravagant party.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lauren Lake presiding.
You may be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello, thank you, Sean. Good day, everyone. Good day. This is the case of West versus Castell. Ms. West, you are suing Ms. Castell for $1,150, half the cost of a baby shower. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And Ms. Castell, you say you didn't attend and that the plaintiff overspent. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, I'll start with the plaintiff. So you had a baby shower?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, who was the baby shower for?
The baby shower was for our children. Her daughter is having her second child. This is my son's first child. And I was so excited about it, you know, and I assumed she would be too, but she's all baby showered out, I guess.
What you mean? You baby showered out, Ms. Castell?
Yes, I'm baby showered out. This is not my first grandchild. So I already have 3 other grandchildren. So I didn't feel a need to just go all out for this one and go overboard.
So wait, you all agreed to do the baby shower together?
Correct.
Correct.
Just you two?
Just us.
All right, so you reached out to Ms. Castell or vice versa? How did you all come to give the baby shower? The grandmothers usually don't give the shower.
Well, our children, you know, they're struggling, and, you know, as mothers, we want to help our children. So they came to us and said that, you know, we're having a baby. I would have preferred they were married first before they brought a child into the world. But these things do happen, and, you know, we're going to make the best of it.
All right, so they said, hey, can you all give us a baby shower?
Yes, we were supposed to do it together to help them.
And what was the agreement?
The agreement was that she would pay half on the expenses for the baby shower.
Did you agree to pay half, Ms. Castell?
So she gave me an amount that she thought she was going to spend, like approximately $1,000.
Uh-huh.
So I said, okay, then I'll give you $500, but still show me the receipts or the invoice of what you're spending.
All right. So do you remember that conversation, Ms. West?
I remember it somewhat, you know.
Do you agree that Ms. Castell said that you were going to do about a $1,000 baby shower and show all of the receipts, and then she'd give you $500 the half? Was that the deal?
The deal was that she was going to give me half on what I spent, and I said roughly, because, you know, it's my first baby shower. I said it should be like $1,000.
Now, did you say $1,000 total for the baby shower, or did you mean $1,000 would be your half?
$1,000 would be her half, because that's what we were talking about, was half.
All right, so you said it's going to be roughly $1,000. Ms. Castell, you heard that it was going to be $1,000 total, $500 each.
Exactly, Your Honor.
All right, so you get to planning the baby shower. I thought you guys were supposed to do the baby shower on your own. You didn't communicate throughout the planning process what you were buying, what you were doing, how much you were spending, a running total or tally.
I didn't really know Miss Isabella that well, so I said, well, let's just meet up for margaritas, you know, and talk about, you know,
yes,
the baby
margaritas.
Showers. Yes, ma'am.
I love a good margarita.
So do I.
How about you, Sean? You like margaritas? I love a good margarita.
I don't drink, so I had a virgin margarita.
Uh-oh. Mr. Castell, Mr. Castell sent us straight to hell. She said, I don't drink, I had a virgin.
Well,
okay, we'll get back to court. So you met up for margaritas. You had a virgin, Ms. Castell. You just had yourself a mocktail. That's what they call it now. Yeah, a mocktail. So you all talked. What was going on in this conversation? Ms. Castell, when you sat down, what did you feel about the baby shower? What were your intentions?
My intentions were to give her some money, albeit half, if she didn't go overboard, and let her take on the responsibility of planning for the baby shower.
And why didn't you want to be a part of the planning? You didn't have time, or it's just not your thing?
I didn't have time. It's not my thing. And she was so excited. This is her first grandchild. And a lot of what we endured in the conversation was about her and her family. Like, I want to do this. This is what I want. I.
And I want my money. How about that?
So, Ms. Castell, you kind of felt that she was so excited that I'm gonna just let her have this, because I got more than one. I've done baby showers already.
Yes.
Coming up.
You know, we had our little margaritas, and yes, mine was fully loaded because I don't do virgin. I ain't been a virgin in a long time.
Oh, well, okay then.
We're back with a dispute between grandmothers Sophia West and Isabella Castell, who are arguing over baby shower expenses.
What did you talk about? What were some of the plans? Did you do a theme? Did you talk about a venue? Did you talk about a color scheme?
Well, we kind of briefly talked about it, you know, and you know, we had our little margaritas, and yes, mine was fully loaded because I don't do virgin. I ain't been a virgin in a long time.
Oh, well, okay then. So
but
how many did you have?
Ma'am?
How many did you have?
I only had 3.
Oh, okay.
Fully loaded.
You said fully loaded, huh?
Fully loaded.
It was fully loaded, but I wasn't loaded. I know when somebody says half, they mean half.
Okay.
All right. So you leave there with kind of like a little skeleton idea of what you're gonna do for the shower.
You got that? I like that name, skeleton, because that's what we had. Just
skeleton idea. And then you went to work.
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you plan? What kind of shower was it?
Well, I really, you know, I had to invoke some of my family members.
Okay.
To see, you know, get some ideas, you know, piggyback on everybody's ideas.
Oh, so they all had ideas, but they didn't have no money?
Pretty much. We had a group chat.
You don't know what my family member has in their pocket.
Well, they weren't offering
Did they
to
offer
give
any
anything.
money?
We had a group text, and that's where we was on the planning stage. We didn't talk about money with the family. What we talked about was the theme.
All right.
And so it was a group text, and she was included in it, just, you know, so she can be a part of the planning stage.
All right, and what were y'all coming up with?
Well, we, you know, we came up with dinosaurs and shoes, because my son loves shoes.
Okay.
And then we had a jungle theme, you know, like the Lion King, you know, and I thought that was going to be really cute, but then she chimed in talking about that was a unsavory something idea, and unfortunately, one of my family members didn't like her attitude in the text messages and threatened to beat her up. But
do you what? Oh
no!
Wait, we done gone all the way to a fight. Do you have evidence of those text messages?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see them, please?
Okay.
I'll take
Lord, y'all done got to fighting via text already.
But she didn't mean it. My cousin just like that. She just, you know, be talking off the cuff. She don't mean nothing like that. If she ever got to know my family, she would know we're kind-hearted people. We'll give you the shirt off our backs, and we give you food if you're hungry. You know, but she don't know us. She
and
didn't
you'll
want
give
to
us
get
a
to know
slap
us.
if I
All
don't
right,
agree with you.
so Ms. Castell, you weren't approving of the themes.
No, Your Honor, I wasn't.
So I see here text messages. I see one after you all met. It was nice spending time with you. You too. Thank you for your offer to cover half. No problem. I'm excited for you because it's your first grandchild. But you did say, Ms. Isabella, spend wisely, though. You
Yes.
said that in the text message.
Yes.
All right. And so here's the family text chain. I won't read it all, but we got a lot of ideas. Lego theme, hip-hop icons. Okay, that's modern. Dinosaur. Ms. Costello, you chime in and say, not to be rude, but those ideas don't go together. You didn't like dinosaurs and shoes.
No. Or hip-hop. Like this
So
is
then
for
y'all
baby
get in an
shower.
argument. Y'all get to arguing on the text message, and family member got to chime in. Somebody actually giving some ideas, and then cousin Tina comes in and says, right, because WTF is her problem. If you family, then act like it. Uh-oh, then Brandy said, or get slapped around this place. That's disrespectful. Brandy went up from 0 to 100 quick.
She's just like that. You got to get to know her. She's sweet.
No one has to get to know her, and you co-signed for her. You should have intervened and checked her.
So then, Ms. Costello, you say, well, I just get an event planner. But did you hire an event planner?
I did not, Your Honor.
All right, so you just got over all that nonsense and said, you know, let them go ahead and plan. So you all did the baby shower. Were you handing her receipts as you were spending?
No, ma'am.
You weren't. You were just incurring the expenses? And what, charging them on your card or paying for them yourself?
It was on my Visa debit card.
You all hired an event planner?
Anderson Johnson, they do events, and my cousin, Darnell, he was the DJ, and he did it for free, you know, because we had a DJ, and he knew somebody who had, you know, that business, and so he turned me on to Anderson Johnson.
So you hired this person to be the coordinator?
Yes, ma'am.
Event planning services, $400. I see it here.
Mm-hmm.
You got chairs and table rental fee for $350, decorations for $300, a double throne chair for $300, and catering for $650. So $2,300 for the total, which is why you're asking for $1,150.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And so when you got these bills, when you got all of these receipts, Ms. Castell, what were your thoughts?
I didn't get them, Your Honor. She just told me approximately how much she spent, and I told her she must be crazy. She said I owe her $1,150, which was half of $2,300, and I told her no. I didn't attend the baby shower because I was threatened. I didn't feel comfortable in going
Oh, you
over
never
there.
even went?
I didn't go.
Coming up.
You missed the baby shower?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Somebody threatened to slap me? Yes, I definitely missed the baby shower.
You don't want no drama with that?
I don't want no drama.
It wasn't going to be no drama.
We're back with a dispute between grandmothers Sophia West and Isabella Castell, who are arguing over baby shower expenses.
You missed the baby shower?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Somebody threatened to slap me? Yes, I definitely missed the baby shower.
You don't want no drama with that?
I don't want no drama.
It wasn't going to be no drama.
All right, so you didn't even come?
I didn't go, no.
But you still said, I'm going to pay for my half, but when she told you how much, you said, that's just too much.
I told her not to go over. When she said $1,100 initially, or $1,000, my mistake. Initially, I said, okay, $500, and then show me receipts and invoice of something as you're spending it. And she did not.
So do you remember her saying $1,000 and to show you receipts as you were spending?
No, ma'am. She didn't tell me that.
You
In
don't
fact,
remember because
at
of
the
those
last-
loaded margaritas.
The last text message that we had, she had dismissed herself from the whole group. So,
oh, after the family got ignorant with it, Miss Castell just came out the group text.
Yes, I was just done.
All right, and were you requesting, do you have any emails that show you calling her or asking her, Ms. West, what are the expenses at the end of this week, this month? How is it going? Can you show me what you're spending?
No, Your Honor, I do not.
And Ms. West, you're saying that you never once said, hey, I'm at $1,200 now total. This is where it's looking like the money's gonna land. Are you good with that?
Your Honor, all that's ringing in my head from Miss Isabella is half.
Coming up.
$10,000 could be overboard.
We're back with a dispute between grandmothers Sophia West and Isabella Castell, who are arguing over baby shower expenses.
But listen, it is clear from her text message that she said, but don't go overboard.
$10,000 could be overboard. I don't know what her overboard is.
And you just proved what I'm talking about. When you don't have a clear understanding of what someone's overboard is and they're agreeing to pay half, I think you do have a responsibility, if you're the person making the choices, to say, hey, I just want to make sure you know we're about now at the $1,100, $1,500 range. You told me not to go overboard, so I just want to understand, before I spend this money, is this amount okay with you?
She never did.
You didn't ask that. However, Ms. Castell, you had the opportunity to stay in the group chat, figure out what was going on, call Ms. West, even regardless of how the family was acting, they wasn't paying nothing, so you could just not even talk to them. Just say, hey, where are we at with expenses? I want to be clear. I don't want my part to go over $500. What happens here is that you all didn't have great communication.
Exactly.
You didn't nail down a number. You didn't nail down a budget. You were coming together for the sake of your kids, but you weren't clear and concise on what the agreement was. And so now there is a misunderstanding. So, Ms. Castell, have you paid Ms. West any money at all for this shower?
I have not, Your Honor.
And the shower ended up costing $2,300.
Yes.
But you never said, I'm not paying half anymore and I'm not coming. You just simply didn't show up.
No, she knew I wasn't going to show up.
Judge Lake's verdict when We the People returns.
When you're dealing with a situation where you're going to spend money together with somebody, that calls for very real communication. Ms. West, I do think you went overboard. I think you went a little overboard from what the initial conversation was, and I get it. You were excited. The baby shower that I'm looking at with the balloon, garland, and all of the cake and those things, these new baby showers, y'all done took it to another level. I mean, my son is 12. When I had my baby shower, it was beautiful. My girlfriends put it on for me. But my goodness, they communicated about what they were going to do, and they had an understanding of what the budget was. This is a misunderstanding. I do think that both of you bear responsibility in that. Therefore, half of the baby shower would be $1,150. It is the judgment of this court that I believe a baby shower for approximately $1,500 would have been what was reasonable. Judgment for the plaintiff for $750. Ms. Castell, I hate that you missed it. You only get one shower, and don't let nobody ever take you off your square so much that you miss an important event for your grandchild. I wish you all the very best. Court is adjourned.
Thank you.
All rise.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $750.
Well, you didn't get $1,150. You got something. That's all right.
That's
with me.
all I really wanted was something. Because you was just so disrespectful to me.
The whole thing.
I mean,
I'm just glad you out of my life. You stay out of my life.
Samantha Jones claims she spent thousands on a job hunting wardrobe for her ex when they were together, but he never paid her back. Dorian Bakerfield says his ex didn't ask to be repaid until he broke up with her.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lauren Lake presiding.
You may be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello. Thank you, Sean. Good day, everyone.
Good day.
This is the case of Jones versus Bakerfield. Ms. Jones, you are suing Mr. Bakerfield for $2,000 for the cost of new clothing. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And Mr. Bakerfield, you say that you don't owe her anything.
Correct.
All right. Well, let's hear what happened. Ms. Jones, I'll start with you. Clothing. You say you're suing for the cost of new clothes. What happened?
That is correct. So there's clothes that I bought him. He was in the middle of a job. His apartment had burned down through an electrical fire. And so doing so, he didn't have anything. So he is my boyfriend at the time. So I went on and I bought him some clothes so he can go on some interviews. It was 3 suits, 2 shirts, and I think some cufflinks that I bought him so he can look nice for his interview.
All right. So you're in a relationship. Are you living together at that time?
6 months at this time.
All right. How long were you in the relationship before that?
We was in a relationship for about like a year.
Okay, so a year.
Yes.
And he had a fire.
He had a fire in his apartment.
Place.
Yes.
All right. So the fire wiped out your clothing, Mr. Bakerfield.
Yes.
And you needed to get a new job.
Yes.
So you asked your girlfriend to help you, or she offered, or you asked her for a loan. How did it come about that she bought clothes on your behalf?
Well, Your Honor, she knew that I was in between trying to get a better job. I was doing radio at the time. So it was a sales position and opening up, and I needed a more professional look. And all these things were discussed before the fire. So it's just something she knew was coming up for me. So when the fire happened and I lost all my clothes, by her just feeling my pain and understanding what I was going through, she looked out for me and had my back. And she brought me a good, nice wardrobe to be presentable so I can try to acquire this, more powerful position.
But you also said you had me.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Ms. Jones?
He said that he got me. So I did buy him the clothes. I bought them for him. But he also said in the words, he got me.
And which I have always had you, Samantha.
Financially, no, you have not.
All right, so let's stick with the clothes for now. I see it's a lot more going on besides a wardrobe. It's a war. That's why wardrobe starts with the word war. All is fair in love and war and wardrobe. So let's go back to that. Let's go back to that. So you're just doing what a good girlfriend would do. I mean, the fire is traumatic and don't want to miss out on the job opportunity. When you two had the discussion, did you make it clear, Ms. Jones, I want to get you those clothes. You need to get some clothes. You can pay me back when you get on your feet. What was the understanding?
The understanding was he got me. So when he did receive the clothes, he turned back and said it more than once, repeatedly, I got you, I got you.
It's not true, Your Honor.
It is true. I have text messages to show it.
I'd like to see those if you brought them to court.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Jones, when he said, I got you, what does that mean to you?
To me, that he's going to pay me back.
So it's like, thank you for doing this for me.
Yeah, he received
you know I got
the clothes, and in return, he said he got me.
Okay. So, Mr. Bakerfield.
Yes, Your Honor.
What did it mean to you when you said, I got you?
Well, it's a big piece of information she's not telling you. In the course of us being together, me staying at the house with her, which I greatly appreciated, you know, there was a lot of things I've done around the house when I was in between jobs. Before, you know, the good job came, I painted her master bedroom. I painted her guest bedroom. I did the garden.
I also bought the materials for that.
Well, he don't have a job. That's why you went and got the suits.
The reason why I done that, Shauna, because at the time she was appraising prices of getting paint and work done around the house, and I seen what she was going through. I took it upon my initiative to get the labor, do the labor myself.
Coming up.
So you saying, Ms. Jones, you didn't need him to do all that. You could have paid the painter.
Yeah, it was things that I was just naturally saying as women do when we buy our house. You know, like, oh, I just want the walls done. And so he did
But you did
paint.
3-4 appraisals and couldn't afford none of them.
And later.
You were at the event, and then you smoked marijuana where?
Well, I had gotten there, and I had gotten in my costume, except for the.
We're back with a dispute between Samantha Jones, who is suing her ex Dorian Bakerfield over money spent on a new wardrobe.
So you saying, Ms. Jones, you didn't need him to do all that. You could have paid the painter.
Yeah, it was things that I was just naturally saying as women do when we buy our house. You know, like, oh, I just want the walls done. And so he did
But you did
paint.
3-4 appraisals and couldn't afford none of them. That's what
I
made me
paid
feel
the
your pain
material.
like you felt my pain to buy those clothes when my stuff caught on fire. I had you.
So you're not appreciative that he did do the work around the house?
No.
Why is that?
I'm not appreciative at all because the job wasn't done well.
Okay, so he didn't do any of the work well.
Wow.
No.
Wow.
You can see the paint marks still all on the walls. It's just horrible. No.
All right, and did you tell him, hey, babe, thank you so much for asking, but don't do any more of the work around the house?
Yeah, don't do anything else.
You told him?
Yes, I did.
All right, so Mr. Bakerfield, when you said, I got you,
yes.
What did that mean to you? What was your intention behind that phrase? Because I'm looking at the text messages. I see you
And
you say here, baby, I'm feeling this suit and clothes you got for me. I can't thank you enough. You say you're more than welcome.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Bakerfield says, you know I got you, right?
Your
So
Honor.
you guys seem to have a great conversation.
I'm sorry, she did not ask for nothing back until we broke up. So there was never no discussion or dialogue of, hey, when you get on your feet, make sure you pay me back. So my mind was
So
not...
while you're together, never any mention.
Never, and those favors I did for the house was because I seen her upset and how much she wanted upgrades. So I felt her because we were getting along and were in a relationship. So I felt, why not help her out? I got the time. At the time, I have the time. But when it was time for me to not have any more time from working, from getting a job, of looking nice, and it worked, the love you have for me worked, I got the job. And so I was...
And now you need to pay me back.
So why did you all break up? What happened, Ms. Jones?
She got controlling.
Oh. She got
Absolutely not.
controlling?
She became controlling. She wasn't always like that. One of the sweetest people
He got
I've
a
ever met.
job and decided not to be with me no more. He was out the house. He was partying. He wasn't coming home. I was sending him text message. When we gonna have lunch, or want me to make you some dinner? He never showed up.
Your Honor,
and remind you, he's coming in my house, so I felt very disrespected.
Your Honor, I work in
Okay, he's still a
sales.
guest, even though we're together. He's a guest.
Oh. Well, he a sharp guest because you done bought him a whole bunch of suits and clothes and sent him right on outside. He outside living his best life. Gauging from Ms. Jones' testimony and her personality today, I don't think if you wasn't living up to your part of the bargain, she wouldn't have been offering to buy you any clothes when you had the fire. So you obviously were showing up in the relationship as a very real and true and genuine man.
I genuinely cared about her. I cared about her situation. I cared about her happiness as well as when she was
No, it
sad.
didn't, because you moved out without telling me, and then broke up with me.
Wait a minute, I thought, wait. Oh, you broke up with her?
Yes.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, I broke up with her
It
because...
actually was a goodbye. A breakup is a goodbye. It ain't a hello.
Yes, Your Honor, I broke up with her because our whole relationship was based on vibes. It seemed like the vibes changed when I began to get back on my feet. I didn't come into a relationship not on my feet. So if we were working in the beginning while I was on my feet, my best thing was to get back out there, get on my feet, and maybe we can get back to where we used to be.
He didn't say that,
So
though. He just left.
I found
He
something
left.
closer to the new job, a new place, apartment, and I moved out.
So do you have any evidence to present today?
Yes,
before
I do,
give
Your
my
Honor.
ruling?
I have evidence
I'd
of
like to see
the
it,
groceries I've bought. I have evidence of...
Take everything you have.
Okay, I have evidence of the labor, what it would have cost if she had to pay real workers to come do the work on her home.
And they would have did a better
I
job.
kept gas in her car. I kept her oil changed.
So these-
I kept her bath water running. I kept the salts in the bath.
Honey, hold on.
Yes, I did.
Somebody tell Mr. Bakerfield we're going to take some notes and pass this on to some folks.
Yes.
You was doing all that?
Yes.
Okay.
But he wasn't giving me
I
the
left-
quality time that I deserve and needed as a woman.
Well, at this time that you were craving the quality time without communicating with me, I also acquired 40 hours of work to do a week.
Wait,
so things
running
did change.
baths ain't quality time? Catch me up.
Foot rubs.
Foot rubs.
When was you doing this?
Oh, you say that didn't happen, Ms. Jones?
No, it did not.
All right. What is disappointing most is that you two really seem to have a relationship where you had each other's back in the difficult time. Because patterns changed, I get that. Maybe you were feeling uncomfortable with those patterns, but that was worthy of a conversation, and in my opinion, worth you all doing your very best to save this relationship. Now, I'm gonna let y'all handle that from here, but as far as this court is concerned, the clothes you bought him, that was a gift. It's not revocable, and he does not have to pay you back for that, just as when you all broke up, you don't have to pay him for the labor, for the work he did in your home, even though you may not have liked it. Your case, plaintiff, is dismissed. Judgment for the defendant. Court is adjourned.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's case has been dismissed.
I think she made a horrible decision. You really do owe me. You broke up with me and you left my home.
I cannot sit there and act like I don't miss you, but I don't miss this vindictive type of vibes you give it. We could have talked this out.
Coming up.
However, I had to make a choice that day because when I arrived at the party, I was still in a lot of pain and discomfort. And I thought, well, let me just smoke some marijuana and get through this next 2-hour event.
Party performer Josh People claims he was unjustly fired for using medical marijuana to ease his back pain. Frank Albert says he booked the plaintiff for a kid's party and he smoked weed while dressed up as the Easter Bunny.
Good day, everyone.
Good day.
This is the case of People versus Albert. Mr. People, you are suing Mr. Albert for $4,350 for unfair termination. The defendant, Mr. Albert, you claim you were forced to fire him.
Correct, Your Honor.
All right, I'd like to start from the beginning. So, Mr. People, what type of work were you doing for Mr. Albert?
I was an entertainer for children's parties.
Okay. And so you were hired to be?
I was hired on this particular date in April to be the Easter Bunny.
All right. And so, Mr. Albert, you hired him. How many jobs was he supposed to do for you?
We had 4 contracts, 4 events scheduled.
4 events scheduled.
Correct.
So take me to the event in question.
The event in question was in April. Before the event happened, I actually had I had taken a fall while I was helping a friend paint his garage, and I had lower back pain. And my doctor recommended that I try medicinal marijuana, and which helped, which alleviated the pain. However, I had to make a choice that day because when I arrived at the party, I was still in a lot of pain and discomfort. And I thought, well, let me just smoke some marijuana and get through this next 2-hour event.
Coming up.
You know, we want to set a good example for these children. You hire the Easter...
you don't want the kids coming in the party and the Easter Bunny out there smoking weed.
We're back with the case of Josh People, who brought Frank Albert to court after he was fired while performing as the Easter Bunny.
You were at the event.
Correct.
And then you smoked marijuana where?
Well, I had gotten there and I had gotten in my costume, except for the head part, and then I went to my car and smoked some marijuana, and then Mr. Albert confronted me before I went out to perform and told me that I should go home.
All right, so Mr. Albert, were you made aware, or did you see for yourself that he was outside smoking marijuana, which he admits to doing?
So I did not see it myself. My assistant, Sandra, had gone out into the...
And this is your assistant?
This is my
Please
assistant
stand,
here. And she went out into the parking lot to greet Mr. Peoples to bring him in and show him where to go. And she didn't mention anything...
Since it was her account, let me have her.
Sure, absolutely.
Explain what happened. Please state your name for the court.
Yes, my name is Sandra Lewis, and I seen Mr. People in the parking lot smoking some marijuana, and I had to inform my boss because we tolerate a no tolerance zone for children because we have events and parents that notice little things, and I had to inform my boss, and he told me we needed to terminate him.
So you saw it with your own eyes, he admits to doing it, and you immediately told Mr. Albert?
Yes.
And so, Mr. Albert, did you walk over to the car? How did you tell him?
Before he went on to perform, we had a conversation. I said, hey, I'm sorry, your services are no longer be required today.
Does anyone have a copy? Do you have a copy, Mr. People, of the agreement with Mr. Albert?
Here you are.
Mr. Albert said you were hired for 4 jobs here.
Correct, and there is a termination clause in that agreement.
You can terminate at any time with or without cause.
Young children's events, and they're very impressionable. They pick up on certain things, and we want to set a good example for these children. You hire the Easter Bunny.
He said he had his costume on up to his neck. You don't want the kids coming in the party and the Easter Bunny out there smoking weed.
Judge Lake's verdict when We the People returns.
You were an independent contractor, and the contract that you signed says that you can be fired with or without cause. He could have just let you go and never said a word, but you were smoking marijuana outside in a public space, preparing to go into a place where he's hosting children. He has a right to fire you. He doesn't owe you for any of the other jobs. In addition, it's against the law in California to smoke weed, whether it's medicinal or not, in a public place. So you should have never been in the car smoking any weed, period.
Your Honor, I'm really sorry that I put myself in this position, but at the same time, there was no drug testing required when I was hired.
He doesn't have to. He can fire you with or without cause. You're an independent contractor. You're not an employee. So all things considered, unfortunately, I've got to dismiss your case. Judgment for the defendant. Court is adjourned.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's case has been dismissed.
No hard feelings, Mr. Peoples. Hope you get your life together and your back feels better, if that's really an issue for you. You seem fine today.
I'm free the rest of the year if you need a good performer.
I think we'll be okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jose Ortiz claims his mom smashed his gaming system because he forgot to pick up his sister at school. Maritza Ortiz says her son's video game addiction is ruining his life.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lauren Lake presiding.
Please be seated.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Good day, everyone. Good day. This is the case of Ortiz versus Ortiz. Mr. Ortiz, you are here suing your mother for $1,050. It's the value of a PlayStation you say she threw against the wall and broke when you guys got into an argument. Is that true?
That's right, Your Honor.
Explain what happened.
You see, I like to play video games every day, and I soon hope to turn that ambition into a career. And she does not understand that this is something that I really want. She just does not understand. She smashes the one thing I love.
So how did it get to the point where she smashed it?
One little mistake, one tiny mistake of not picking up my little sister, and she goes off and destroys the one thing.
Wait, that's a little mistake?
Of course.
You forgot to pick up your sister?
I do it every week.
So how did you forget?
I was too busy chasing my dreams. I was too busy doing what I love the most.
So you were supposed to go pick your little sister up from where? School?
That's cheerleading practice, but I do that every week. Could she not do that? She doesn't even work that much.
Okay, so you do it every week, and this time you forgot.
Just once.
So, Ms. Ortiz, did you break the video game?
I did, and I would do it again in a heartbeat because he is
would.
throwing. I absolutely would. I have only ever wanted what's best for you.
Oh, really?
And you are throwing away your life.
So, I want to understand from you, as his mother, he forgot to pick up his sister. What were your instructions to him? Were you working? What happened?
So first of all, that was the straw that broke the camel's back because Jose does not do anything around the house at all.
That's not true.
The only thing, he gets an allowance, and the only thing I ever ask him to do is pick up his sister from cheer practice.
And I do that every week.
On Tuesdays and Thursdays. But you didn't that one time. You left her stranded there.
No, I did not. She has so many people to ask. She could have asked her mom's friend.
All right, Mr. Ortiz, let your mother speak. Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. So he has one responsibility to pick up his sister on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Which I do.
Because I work a double shift. He not only did not remember to pick her up, but when we came home, he was playing video games and didn't even care. I said, you left your sister, and he shrugged and went back to playing his video game.
Did you just shrug, Mr. Ortiz?
Well, I acknowledged what she said, but I just didn't think it was a big deal because I do it every week. She was just at school. Do you really think that's a big deal to you?
Yes, it is, because cheerleading practice happens after school. And so after that's over, parents come and pick up the child, and the children who are left over, whose parents don't come, are left with the coach or the teacher, which is an inconvenience.
Right, exactly.
Hold on. The coach or the teacher then has to find out how are they going to get that child home. It's a huge inconvenience.
But she was not stranded, was she? She had teachers and coaches there.
No, she was stranded because you didn't come get her, and then your mother came to get her.
But I was busy doing what I want to do.
I want to point out also that this is the latest in a long string of incidents that have happened since he's become addicted to video games.
That's not true at all.
My parents visited from Florida. He came out for 5 minutes for the whole 2 weeks they were here. He comes out of his room to eat and go to the bathroom, and then the rest of the time he's in there playing his games.
That is not true.
Let me ask you this. You say he still gets an allowance at 18 years old.
I just wanted him to focus on his schoolwork, and when he was a little boy, he took everything so seriously. He worked so hard at his studies. That's why I bought him his first video game console to begin with, because I wanted him to have
So you
a little
actually
fun.
got him his first one?
I did.
But this one you did not buy?
I did not.
So, Mr. Ortiz, you bought this all on your own?
Yes, using...
With the money I gave him from his allowance.
But I earned that money.
No.
I do chores. I pick up my sister.
Wait. Is your allowance based upon you doing chores and then getting the money?
Exactly.
What do you have to do?
I pick up the laundry, I do my room, I do the dishes, everything she tells me to do.
Laundry?
And I pick up my sister.
What a laundry machine.
No. Laundry, dishes.
The trash.
Clean your room.
Exactly.
The trash.
Yes.
Right? And pick up your sister.
Of course.
And so, Mom, is that true? Like, are those the chores he's required to do and then he gets payment for those?
No. Those are every once in a while he volunteers, or he used to. He doesn't do it anymore.
Yes, I do.
But he is not required for that allowance to do anything except pick up his sister, which he didn't do.
Coming up.
You feel like he's addicted?
I do.
Do you feel like you're addicted,
I'm
Mr.
not.
Ortiz?
I have a normal life like any kid plays video games. Why is
I
it so...
haven't heard anything normal yet. You haven't told me anything you've done that's normal except pick your sister up, but then you said you forgot.
We're back with the case of Jose Ortiz, who is suing his mother, Maritza Ortiz, for smashing his video game system.
I don't believe in paying kids to do things they already need to do to learn responsibility. So cleaning up your room, you're not getting no money from me for cleaning up your room. You better clean up your room, because in this house, we live in a clean house.
But I clean it well.
Washing dishes, washing clothes, that doesn't matter. That, in my opinion, that is not something you need to be paid to do. Now, if you're doing something outside of the realm of something you would ordinarily do, maybe, or if you'd want to just give an allowance because this is the money you're giving him, right? But the key word in that, Mom, is giving. You're giving him an allowance. I thought maybe there was a condition to the allowance. You just admitted there are no real conditions. I just give him an allowance. So you give him allowance so that he has his own money, so that he can do the things he wants to do and not always have to ask you for money. He chose to save it up. Am I correct?
That's correct.
And then you bought
11 months. For 11 months, I did that.
11 months, and you bought this game.
Correct.
All right. So at the end of the day, he used his allowance on what he wanted to, and you didn't object to it.
No, but I wish I had now.
All right. So that's hindsight, and we know that's 2020. So get me to the point where you smash the game. What happened? You come home, you're mad, he didn't pick up the baby sister, you had to race over there, your nerves were shot, you come in, and what happens?
So I come in and I ask him to look his sister in the eye and say why he forgot to pick her up. And he doesn't. He glances at her, he shrugs, he dismisses both of us, takes no responsibility, which he's been doing for these past several years now, taking no responsibility. And I'm sorry I lost it. No, you know what? I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry, because this addiction is out of control.
It's
and
not
I've
an
tried
addiction,
to talk to you
Mom.
about it for so long.
I'm not
and you need
addicted.
help.
So wait
He
a
needs
minute.
help.
You feel like he's addicted?
I do.
Do you feel like you're addicted,
I'm
Mr.
not.
Ortiz?
I have a normal life like any kid plays video games. Why
I
is it so...
haven't heard anything normal yet. You haven't told me anything you've done that's normal except pick your sister up, but then you said you forgot her. In this entire testimony, your entire testimony, you have not said to me any other thing that you do.
So the one thing I make wrong was picking up my sister, not just doing it, not picking her up once.
What else is normal about your life?
Your grades are failing. He's going to end up having to repeat senior year of high school.
That's not true.
Yes, you
no,
are.
No, it's not.
He used to get straight A's, and now
I
what are
still
you? You're
do.
failing math. You're failing science.
Wait a minute. You talking about you still get straight A's?
Of course.
No.
Well, why would your mother say you used to get them?
She just says that so that she just tries to find ways to get me in trouble. She just wants the worst for me.
All I ever wanted is what's best for you.
Is that why you destroy my games? Is that why you?
Yes, that is absolutely why I destroyed your game.
Why do you always blame me for everything?
You know, sometimes as a parent, you have to do the things that your kids are going to hate you for because it's the right thing to do. And that's why I smashed your game. And I guess I would do it again.
How did you smash it? Once you came back, he's still in his room playing. He doesn't really acknowledge or express any concern for his sister. What did you do to the game?
First, I yanked the controller out of his hand. I threw that against the wall, and then I went over and I yanked the PlayStation out of the wall.
Without
and
any warning?
But I threw it, but it wasn't anywhere near him, so he was not in danger of getting hurt.
You damaged my wall, too.
I turned. It's my wall. You don't pay for anything. It's my house. It's my wall, and I threw and it's my
but I
game
cleaned your house,
because
too.
it came from the allowance I gave you.
But I earned that. Did you forget about that? I did the chores.
No, you didn't earn it. She just said you didn't have to earn it. I want to hear from your witness, though, ma'am. Please stand up, sir. State your name for the record.
Robert Shannon.
Mr. Shannon, you are here. You are a psychologist?
Yes,
and
yes.
What would you like to testify to today?
Well, first of all, I wrote a book on gaming disorder, and I do have, I photocopied a page from my book.
First of all, that kind of disorder doesn't even exist.
Can you please let the man talk? He's the expert. You are not the expert. So why don't you just shut your mouth for 2 minutes?
Let's get some order now.
Okay, so from what I've gathered here, talking to the family, this is a clear case of gaming addiction. And
Why do you say that, sir?
Well, just looking at his behavior and his denial and how he'll spend hours into the night doing the gaming. And you know, the definition of addiction is when it prevents you from doing other things. Like you can't be part of the family, be part of the school, be part of anything else. It takes over, like many other addictions do.
He gets angry when he can't play.
That's
he starts
not true.
fights with us.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
When has it happened?
Like, when hasn't it happened?
Oh my God.
But what they're not telling you...
You sound just like my son. Oh my God.
What they're not telling you is the reason I sent that copy over to you is often there's a deep void that needs to be filled that can be filled by the gaming addiction. And what they haven't mentioned is the divorce that happened about 2 years ago, which is about the time that the gaming really increased for Jose.
That's not true. You know that, right?
And so, as I see it, now I haven't done a formal evaluation. I recommend not only counseling, I recommend court-ordered counseling for this gaming addiction.
What?
Coming up.
Are you involved in any sports?
I play sports on my games and stuff, but not
No,
physically.
physical sports. Do you go outside?
I mean, I go walking and stuff, but why are they both still so
When do you go walking?
Just to get to the kitchen and stuff, but...
Boy, please.
We're back with the case of Jose Ortiz, who is suing his mother, Maritza Ortiz, for smashing his video game system.
Mr. Ortiz, I want to ask you, I'm going to give you a chance before I give my ruling. Why do you think that isn't true? Do you think you're addicted?
No, I lead a no more life. I'm a kid. I play video games like any other person. Why
You're
would
not a kid, you're 18.
I don't
Why
do
don't you start acting like it?
I don't do anything wrong. I'm not doing drugs. I'm not hanging with the wrong people. Why are you both so against me?
So let me ask you this. Are you involved in any sports?
I play sports on my games and stuff, but not physically.
No, physical sports. Do you go outside?
I mean, I go walking and stuff, but why are they both still so against?
When do you go walking?
Just to get to the kitchen and stuff, but...
Boy, please. I can tell you this, Mr. Ortiz. You gonna tell it. You walk from the kitchen to get something right, then go right back to your room to your game.
Yes.
Whether you are actually addicted, that will have to be under additional psychological evaluation. Mr. Shannon can only talk about what he's heard and give a recommendation. This is what I want to say to you. As parents, right? What your mother is trying to do is protect you from your own vices, right? There are things in your life that you don't see right now at 18, even though you are legally an adult. There are things in your life that you don't understand how they affect you right now and how they can affect you in the future. When I look at the life you just described, when I hear what you just said to me, that is an extremely isolated life. For an 18-year-old young man, for you not to be able to list off 5 additional things that you do besides video games, that's a problem. That is not healthy.
Coming up.
You need to be going off to college. Do you know where you're going to college? Lord have mercy. Okay, so you don't know where you're going to college. You don't know nothing about nothing.
We're back with the case of Jose Ortiz, who is suing his mother, Maritza Ortiz, for smashing his video game system.
It's not about the physical game. It is how you interact with it. When you can't get off of it, when all of your social interactions are through the game, that is problematic. And you've got to sometimes understand that your mother has your best interests at heart, because what does a mother want to do except see you thrive and see you succeed? And sometimes that means not giving you exactly what you want. Because in my house, I'm not your friend, I'm your mother. And that's 2 different things. So I'm gonna have to make a call sometimes that you're not gonna like, because I'm not here to be your friend. And she's not here right now to be your friend, she's here to be your mother. But the problem is he bought that video game with money that you gave him. Once you give the allowance, it's his. It's a gift. You admitted he didn't work for it, but it's a gift. You gave it to him. Now, what you could have done was simply restrict his ability to play the game. No. Or you could have said that video games are not allowed in your home because it's your home. But wait, hold on, I'm doing the talking, Mr. Ortiz. This is the difference about what you do in your house and what you get to do in this courtroom. The problem is you need to set boundaries in your own home. You cannot destroy his property. But you could have told him it's not allowed up in my house. And then he just have to figure out where he gonna live and how he gonna pay for it. Since he's 18 anyway, you need to be going off to college. Do you know where you're going to college? Lord have mercy. Okay, so you don't know where you're going to college. You don't know nothing about nothing.
Judge Lake's verdict when We the People returns.
Your mother destroyed your property. And for that, I'm gonna rule in your favor. It is the determination of this court in this moment is that your mother owes you $1,050 for the value of your game. Did you bring a receipt?
But then he's just gonna buy another machine.
Wait a minute. I cannot control what he buys. You have got to woman up and let him know what is allowed in your house and what is not. So if he goes out and buys another game, if you tell him you can't bring it in here, he can't bring it in here. But if he buys it, you cannot just destroy it because of your anger. Judgment for the plaintiff for $1,050. Court is adjourned. Mr. Ortiz, I advise you to get yourself together. I advise you to get yourself together. Because those video games, they're not gonna do it. You too old to be living up in your mama's house with nothing else to do.
All rise.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $1,050. Lena Jackson Moore claims her life turned upside down after her friend wrecked her eyebrows. Hannah Johnson claims she told Ms. Moore not to make such a drastic change, but there was no reasoning with her.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lauren Lake presiding.
You may be seated. Thank you, Sean. Good day, everyone. Good day. This is the case of Moore versus Johnson. Ms. Moore, you are suing Ms. Johnson for $1,800. You say she was negligent when she microbladed your eyebrows. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Explain to the court what happened.
So I met Hannah and we became friends, and I told her that she had beautiful eyebrows and I wanted beautiful eyebrows too. If you don't mind, Your Honor, can I show you a picture of my eyebrows before? So they were very thin, blonde eyebrows, and I wanted them to be a little bit more thicker and a little bit more dark. So Hannah told me she was a microblading artist and that she could help me with this. And I told her that I wanted them to look similar to like Brooke Shields or
Well, it's interesting you say that because when you were standing up here and I looked at your eyebrows, it was the first thing I thought, like, oh, she has eyebrows like Brooke Shields. I was literally thinking that before you said
These
that.
are even bigger. They're like...
So listen, I want to go to Ms. Johnson because I want you to explain the process you go through. How do you go to determine what type of eyebrow you should draw, or however they call it, tattoo, for a person? How do you go about deciding that?
Thank you. Your Honor, first and foremost, as Ms. Moore has already established, she and I are friends first. We did not meet under any professional circumstance. I met her at a party, and as her friend, I suggested, as her friend and professional, that she not go for the Brooke Shields, Frida Kahlo, or Lily Collins look as she put in her questionnaire. If you'd like, I can show you the questionnaire I give all of my clients.
Yes, I'd like to see that. So you say it wasn't a business relationship, but you did have her fill out this questionnaire.
I did. I treated her with the same impartiality I would treat any of my clients. Because I care about her personally, I did go ahead and give my personal and professional suggestion. Hey girl, I don't know if the Frida Kahlo look is gonna necessarily work for you. What she wanted was something much thicker, much darker than what she was naturally given. My job as a microblading artist is to make small incisions into my client's skin and fill it in with semi-permanent to permanent tattoo grade ink.
But what
because
I don't
know
understand
this is
here is why you just changed them so drastically, directly, without taking small steps, showing me. I was so...
So wait, I'm looking at the questionnaire and I'm looking at the pictures where it's you choose your color and your shape.
And what she chose, if you like, I can show you the rest of the questionnaire. What she chose was something much thicker.
Dark
the
color.
bottom dark.
I see that.
Along with the chart where it shows the thickest block that you can get in terms of shape. What I suggested as her friend and as a professional esthetician was the top brow shape and tint that you see there. Something light, something a bit more thin, but still something more than what she was given naturally.
Did you choose this darker brow, Ms. Moore?
Yes, I did.
And so you chose a dark brow, but what about the brow you have don't you like? You don't like the shape, you don't like the color, what?
It's darker and it's bigger because it's just like my entire face. When I walk around in the streets, people are just staring at me, laughing at me. And I work as a hostess at a restaurant, and they barely call me anymore because
For your eyebrows?
of how I look.
First of all, you don't look that bad. I will say that. It may not be what you want, but you are not, looking like some freak.
I feel like one.
Well, I can see you're very upset.
I just wish she would have taken it in steps and showed me, because she was so sure that this was not a good fit for me. And she, as a professional, should give me professional advice.
And I think she did give you the professional advice, but you wanted a dark brow because the people you're talking about wear very dark brows. And I will say that I think she even went a little lighter than the brow you chose. And because
they're way bigger.
Coming up.
She wants eyebrows to stand out. Very bushy shape.
But these are so
extra large. What you're describing is what you have.
No, these are way bigger than what I described.
And later.
I told him all of the terrible experiences that I've had with dating apps. And he said, don't worry about that. This is a matchmaking service. I do all the screening for you. Not a single date was good.
We're back with the case of Lena Jackson Moore, who brought Hannah Johnson to court over a microblading procedure.
The minute she saw what she looked like, she ran out of my salon. If you'd like, I can show you the invoice where she did not pay me for any of my
I'd like to see the invoice, please.
But I still think that she should have taken it into steps, even though if I wanted it a certain way, she wouldn't even show this to the world because she is even embarrassed
Your Honor,
about
would you like
the
to
result.
see the rest of the questionnaire wherein my suggestions are clearly printed?
Yes.
They were all met with offense, and they were all disregarded. As her friend and as a professional, I let her know what I thought would look good on her and what would be more of a better fit.
So you say, I recommend medium and just slightly darker.
But caterpillar eyebrows was not
what
I
shape
asked
and
for.
size do you want? Very bushy shape.
But these are so
extra large. What you're describing is what you have.
No, these are way bigger than what I described. And as a professional, you didn't take it into steps. And then
Okay, what are the steps? What steps could you take it in?
There aren't any. Because I know this is a financial commitment as well as an aesthetic choice, I make sure I go through this questionnaire. I make sure I establish this is going to be a painful process. It's tattooing. I'm using a needle, I'm using ink. Tattoo artists don't stop in between and ask, does this color work for you? Does this
that's what I've heard
They
people do.
established that prior to the procedure.
And you said
as it was.
clearly that it wouldn't look good on me.
And you
And why
insisted.
didn't you stop saying, like, this is what would look good at you? Instead, you just kept
Ms.
going.
Moore, that's what the questionnaire is. And you're so upset right now. Like, it's
because
not.
it's such an emotional trauma for me. Because it's just like walking
So
around
now
in the
you
street
didn't
and
even
people
pay
are
for them.
laughing.
People are not walking down the street laughing at your eyebrows.
They are.
They are not. Trust me. This is you imagining this. There is no one walking down the street
And why-
laughing at your eyebrows.
Why don't my boss call me to work?
Probably because you running around the office acting like you don't have no sense, or wherever it was, the restaurant. Where'd you work?
A restaurant. That's
Yeah, you don't have a personality anymore because you're stressed about these eyebrows you asked for.
Yeah, but I wish that she, as a friend, would have helped me out.
She
There is
did.
no stopping and
She
starting
did on
in
this
this process, Your
questionnaire.
Honor.
This is what you asked for. This is what I suggest. This is what you asked for. This is what I suggest. Which eyebrow do you choose? The darkest one. You put it on. Now you don't like it. I realize you are upset that you don't like it, but I don't know why you're upset with Ms. Johnson instead of with yourself, because you did not listen to the professional. Now let me ask you this: you didn't pay. So you're suing for $1,800. What's that for?
Because I want these to get rid of these. I want a permanent tattoo removal. Sorry, I'm so emotional. I want a permanent tattoo removal so I can have my regular eyebrows back that I pencil in and that I can look like myself again. So if you don't mind, Your Honor, here is an invoice for the permanent tattoo removal. I will need 12 sessions at $150 each.
When she came to me initially saying, I don't want to pencil my eyebrows in every day. I'd like something more permanent, something longer lasting than a brow tint, which would have only lasted a few months.
But
she knew coming into
Did she
this
do
process-
permanent or semi-permanent?
She went permanent.
Oh, okay.
But between permanent and semi-permanent lasts up to 6 months. Permanent lasts up to a year.
But
so
this is
regardless
like
of what she
waking
did,
up
it
from a
would have been a
nightmare.
long-lasting result.
So the bottom line is, after a year or so of this, these eyebrows that she had are going to start fading
They're gonna
anyway.
start fading, yes.
And they're going to need to be touched up.
Yes.
All right. I've heard enough. Ms. Moore, you so pitiful. You really are. I can tell you really don't like these eyebrows. And I feel badly for you because I know that eyebrows are just an important part of a woman's face that we're very particular about. It's just a thing, and I get that. What I do understand is that Ms. Johnson really did do her due diligence. She really did walk you through the process. She really did make suggestions to you, not just orally, but in writing about what she thought would look best. And you did, in fact, choose an eyebrow that is even darker than the one that she did. I hate this for you because I know you're upset, but unfortunately, this court cannot award you $1,800 to get eyebrows removed that you chose. This is on you. And if you don't like them and you feel the need to get them removed, you will have to pay for that yourself. I would say to you, with any beauty choice that you first don't like, whether it's a hair color or a haircut, and women in the gallery, you can attest to this. Sometimes we go want to do a drastic change. When she said drastic change, I was like, we've all been there, where you want that drastic change and then you do it and you're like, right? I shouldn't have done that. But if you give yourself time, you may begin to feel more comfortable with it. But I'm here to tell you right now, you still look beautiful. Your eyebrows are not completely and totally out of pocket. And if they were, I would tell you. Trust me, I'm here to tell people the truth. That's my job. All right? All right?
All right.
Court is adjourned. Judgment for the defendant.
All rise.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's case is dismissed.
I'm sorry, girl.
Wait for that bad review. So it's
I
gonna come.
offered to color
It's gonna
correct it
come.
for you for free. I did my due diligence. Good luck, sis.
Coming up,
The first man that I went out with was super overweight when I also put in my profile that I'm very passionate about fitness and eating healthy. My second and third date were both people that have never been out of Chicago, so no travel experience there. And then I had a man that had 5 children.
Wow.
Heaven Presley claims she failed to find love after 6 months with a matchmaker, despite his guarantee. Sam Garrett claims Ms. Presley didn't give her dates a chance.
This is a case of Presley versus Garrett. Ms. Presley, you are suing Mr. Garrett for $3,750 because you say his matchmaking service failed.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, tell the court what happened.
I am suing Mr. Garrett for $3,750 because that's what I paid him in matchmaking service fees. He guaranteed that I'd find a relationship after 6 months in our 6-month contract. I filled out a profile, and none of the people I went on dates with matched my profile at all.
Okay, so let me understand the process. Mr. Garrett, you run a matchmaking business?
Yes.
All right. And as part of that business, people come in and express to you the kind of mate they are looking for? Or do you interview people and match them to someone you feel they would be a good match with?
We have people come in and we interview them, and we get a survey of what they're looking for in a potential partner. And we try and match them together based on how they fill out our intake form.
Okay, so what did you say you wanted?
I said that I'm passionate about traveling, that I'm a Christian, that I wanted somebody that was in the same stage of life as myself, which is no kids. And all of the dates I went on, the first man that I went out with was super overweight, when I also put in my profile that I'm very passionate about fitness and eating healthy. My second and third date were both people that have never been out of Chicago, so no travel experience there. And then I had a man that had 5 children already.
Wow.
Yes. And then there was another man who was not ready to commit.
Coming up,
I think she would have been fine if she didn't find love, if she just went on some decent dates. But she didn't even get that.
we're back with a dispute between Heaven Presley and Sam Garrett over matchmaking services.
Do you have a copy of your intake form that Ms. Presley filled out?
I do not have a copy of the intake form, but I do have a copy of the contract that she did sign.
I'll look at that.
And on my profile form, I put completely different thing than any of the dates that I went on.
Okay, so she says she's interested in fitness and you give her someone that is not physically fit.
Wow.
She says she's interested in travel and you give her someone that's never left the city of Chicago.
Again, the
you
matches
say
are-
she's interested in this time of her life, having no kids and being free to travel, and you match her with somebody with 5 kids. How do you avoid becoming a place that just basically promises people love, letting them fill out certain questionnaires, and then you just line up any random people, and then they go on dates, and then if they don't find love, you didn't guarantee it anyway, so you're okay.
First of all, we cannot guarantee it. We don't guarantee it, but we try and bring people closer to meeting people they would not normally meet in their day-to-day lives.
He promised me in person. He said that I would find love.
So, Mr. Garrett, why'd you come to court with a copy of the contract but not a copy of the intake form?
Oversight.
Did you come to court with evidence of the people you matched her with, like these people she says she went out with? Do you have evidence of those people?
I don't have the evidence, although I do, of them directly. I did talk with them.
All right. I've heard enough. It is clear to me, when you, and that's why I wanted to make it clear, are you a service that matches based upon criteria? Are you a service that matches upon, like, you believing why these certain people are good matches for her?
Judge Lake's verdict when We the People returns.
I was giving you time to testify, Mr. Garrett, so I could get a better understanding about the process and whether or not a person coming into your business should expect to leave with people who match what she wants for herself or what she really hasn't thought about wanting for herself. You could not make that clear. And it seems very clear to me that Ms. Presley was clear about what she wanted. It has been determined by this court, judgment for the plaintiff for $3,750, because I do not believe you got what you were bargained for in this contract. And Mr. Garrett, in the future, when you are matching, you have to make sure that you are specific about what your service is. I think she would have been fine if she didn't find love, if she just went on some decent dates. But she didn't even get that. Judgment for the plaintiff, $3,750. Court is adjourned.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $3,750.
I didn't exaggerate. I did not exaggerate.
It's an exaggeration.
No, she ruled in my favor.
You may now exit the courtroom.
Ladies first.
Harris Sampson claims his ex-girlfriend took advantage of his generosity and didn't pitch in when times got tough. Lisa Walters says Mr. Sampson is an emotionally abusive scam artist who doesn't deserve a dime.
All rise.
I didn't want it to come to this.
Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lauren Lake presiding.
Please be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello. Thank you, Sean. Good day, everyone. Good day. This is the case of Sampson versus Walters. Mr. Sampson, you are suing Ms. Walters for $8,000 for breach of contract. Is that correct?
This is correct, Your Honor.
And Ms. Walters, you say that Mr. Sampson is a fraud and he's toxic. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, Mr. Sampson, please explain to the court why you're here.
Your Honor, I know it must sound silly suing over a loan, but this wasn't a loan. This was actually money that she owed me. We had lived together for over 5 months, and I'd paid all the bills. I paid all the rent, I paid car payments and utilities, everything. I'd taken her out to numerous vacations, out to dinner.
Do you have she lived with you, do you have a lease agreement with her, or you just invited her to live with you and you paid all the bills?
I invited her to live with me, and I ended up having to pay all the bills.
Ended up having to pay them all, or was that the agreement when you said, do you want to move in? Ms. Walters, when you moved in with Mr. Sampson, did he say to you, this is your portion of the bills, you should pay this every month?
No, he said that he was going to be the provider.
All right. Did you hold yourself out to be the provider, Mr. Sampson?
Your Honor, saying the provider does not necessarily mean having to pay for every last nickel for every last thing involved.
Well, I can actually agree with that. However, when you say I'm going to be the provider and you don't also say this is what your contribution will be, most reasonable people would assume provider means you're covering it. So did you say to her, I'm going to provide for you. I've got the house, the large bills. I just want you to cover the cable, utilities, things like that. What was the agreement?
Your Honor, there was no specific agreement ever made.
Oh, well, then that's
when
good.
When I hit the point where I need a little bit of help, I asked for some help. And that was the situation. She was unwilling to provide it.
All right. Hold on. How long were you all together before you moved in together?
A year.
1 year. And then you moved in together?
Correct.
You live in a home or an apartment?
It's an apartment,
Okay.
luxury apartment.
How many bedrooms?
It's 2 bedrooms.
2 bedrooms. All right. So you move into his 2-bedroom apartment and he's going to provide for you. And your understanding is that you don't owe anything.
Exactly.
And then at some point, Mr. Sampson says he needed something. He needed money. And he asked you to loan him money. Do you remember that day?
I do, but when we got together, okay, he came in all charming, you know, like this like smoozy type of guy, and so I was like, okay, great, you know.
What's
like,
smoozy mean?
Like just kind of like someone that just, you know, like has it all together.
Oh, yeah, charismatic,
you know what I mean? Like
successful.
Exactly.
And I'm going to take care of you.
Exactly.
That's what your interpretation was.
Yes.
And so how long did you live there before he ended up asking you for some money?
Maybe about like 4 months.
Oh, that was quick. You ran out of money quick, Mr. Sampson.
And Your Honor, by the way, it really wasn't portrayed like that.
It wasn't?
No, I explained to her, see, my main business is a restaurant that I own in Cleveland. And I had a bunch of issues when COVID hit. We had a lot of problems with the restaurant, couldn't find staffing. I wasn't able to transition to deliveries right away. And so I headed out there to go turn things around with the restaurant while Lisa stayed at the apartment by herself for a month. And this was before we'd even lived together, okay? Now, when I came back, I explained to her, listen, I'm not gonna be able to keep covering all of this. I've got the apartment rent, which is huge. I've got 2 different cars. I may end up having some problems. So I explained this to her out the gate so she knew but continued to stay anyway.
And so do you remember this conversation, Ms. Walters, where he said, hey, listen, I've been covering everything, but I'm going to need some help soon?
I do remember it, but again, like he came in saying like, I want to take care of you. I love you. You're my everything.
What did you say when he told you, hey, I need help?
Well, I told him that it didn't sit right with me.
Okay.
And it's not the
Your
fact
Honor,
that
that's
he
not
needed
true.
help.
First of all, I asked her to give me money for the rent that was owed up to that point, which is $8,000.
And so
she
you had
said
paid
no.
$8,000 in rent?
No, I paid $16,000 in rent.
So you just wanted half?
I just wanted half.
Oh, okay, so you retroactively said, and give me, for all the time you live here.
Right, yeah, exactly. And I'm not even counting the vacations. I'm not counting all the expensive dinners. I'm not counting any of that. I'm not counting the
This sounds real
cars.
raggedy, Mr. Sampson.
Coming up.
And did you agree to loan him the money?
I did at first.
All right.
I had someone by the name of Reezy Deezy DM me, okay, telling me that they were in a relationship.
We're back with exes Harris Sampson and Lisa Walters, who are in court arguing over money spent during their relationship.
I mean, it'd be different if you even said, hey, starting next month, can you begin to help me pay half the rent? But you said, I want the back rent since you've been here.
Right, right.
Okay. And so did she agree to that?
She didn't like it, and I understood why. You
Me
know,
too.
I mean, I kind of understood why.
Me
So, because typically in my relationships, I've always covered everything.
Okay,
and
but
I've
it
done
was
that.
the pandemic. And
But this was a rough situation, and I really needed some help. And after so much, everything that I put in, anyway, she agreed.
you're
And
looking at evidence. What evidence did you bring?
I have the agreement that we both signed.
All right, that's what I want to see.
I'll take everything.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. All right, so this is a promissory note
Yeah, so what ended up happening, just so I can clarify it before you go over the contract, was I agreed with her. I said, look, I understand. So let's just do it this way. Loan me $8,000 for my business that I've been spending basically the last 8 months putting together. And I had I was just illiquid at the moment, and I needed a little bit of help to get things flowing. So I said, loan me the money, and I will pay you before the end of the year. Even though really, I mean, the money was owed to me, but still, that was the way that I could get it done.
And did you agree to loan him the money?
I did at first.
All right.
Until I had someone by the name of Reezy Deezy DM me, okay, telling me that they were in a relationship, that he said that he was low on money, and asked her for $10,000. And
Wait, you got a DM? Do you have a copy of that DM with you?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see that. So you randomly get a DM by somebody named Reezy Deezy.
Yes.
Your Honor.
And hold on. Reezy Deezy said, hey, Chica, are you friends with Harris Sampson? You say, yeah, we're together. We need to talk, she says. Oh, okay, what's going on? She says, I wanted to approach you woman to woman. This may be a shock to you, but 6 months ago, we're seeing each other. He told me that his business was struggling, and I gave him $10,000. We're both women, and I just don't want to see him take advantage of another woman. He led me on, and I don't want to see that happen to you. And you write back, oh, whoa, this is a lot to process. So you get this communication. And so instantly, the whole, can you give me $8,000, loan it to me, started to feel what? A little sketchy to you?
After I had this conversation with her, I just thought, okay, this is starting to make sense now. You know, he is a scammer, he is toxic, and he's emotionally abusive.
And how is he emotionally abusive?
Well, he would have these sessions with me where he would sit me down and say, oh, you know, why can't you be like so-and-so, you know, and he would bring me down.
These were no personal attacks whatsoever. These were issues to do with business. So this was to help her succeed. So I was telling her what areas she was missing. And I guess she's not used to being spoken to plainly. Because I was just telling her, you need to do this. You can't let this stuff not get done or else it will end up costing you money. It was her money I was trying to protect. It was her business I was helping her build.
But I didn't ask you to coach me. You just decided to...
We discuss business all the time.
No, I know that we did, but I didn't ask you to critique me on what I was doing, how I was running my business. You know, it's like you decided to go in there and do that.
You asked for help with the business, and I gave you help with the business, which,
all right,
which
so,
included...
Mr. Sampson, I understand that you feel like you brought a lot of value to Ms. Walters' life. You have enumerated every single thing you did for her in the relationship. What is problematic to me is that it's almost like I'm doing for you with like this expectation of getting something in return, and I've got this in my pocket, so whenever I need to use it, I can throw it out and say, listen,
No.
I've given you all this, now it's time for you to help me.
Your Honor, I might have felt like I needed some help, but that's how you feel when you're with your partner. You know, you're both doing stuff. We're working on businesses together. We're helping each other. And I mean, you should feel like you can
Why
count
did you
on
sign
your
the promissory note, Ms. Walters?
Well, at first, I didn't really, I guess, think much about it, which I should have, and that was my fault, you know, because I thought, okay, I know that he needs help, and, you know, it didn't sit right with me. I didn't receive that DM until after I had signed it. Does that make sense?
Your Honor.
Yeah, you got the
Your
DM
Honor.
after you signed it.
Yes.
Yes.
So then that's when I started to question, like, okay, like, I don't want to give you my money after knowing that you scammed somebody else.
Coming up.
When I had her sign that, that's for her protection, not mine. This is so she has it in writing. If I wanted to rob somebody, I wouldn't put my name on the contract.
Please keep walking
Right?
this plank. Please keep walking this plank.
We're back with exes Harris Sampson and Lisa Walters, who are in court arguing over money spent during their relationship.
What I don't like about your testimony, Mr. Sampson, is because first you tried to say, you owe me, so I want you to give me $8,000, which is half of $16,000, and I want that money. Then it was like you spun a new idea. Well, you know what then? I need help, and it needs to be a promissory note. it seemed very pressured and very manipulative before she even told me about the DM.
Okay, first of all, with the DM, that was an ex-client. I never even went out with her. That was for services rendered. But the situation was she was enamored with me, wanted to bring the relationship beyond business into a personal relationship, and I was already with Lisa. So I ended up breaking off a very lucrative relationship with her.
A lucrative relationship?
Business relationship with consulting work that I was doing.
Is this the same woman that DM'd her?
Yes.
She said it was more than just a business relationship.
It was not at any time. She wanted it to be, and that was the issue. See, either she wanted to get even with me because she maybe thought I led her on, or she wanted Lisa to drop me so she could swoop in. It was one of the two. But Your Honor, none of this even matters, and I'm going to tell you why right now. What happened was I had partnered with someone who was also a very successful coach, and we're putting together a big show we're going to do.
Why are you doing a show and you can barely keep your restaurant afloat?
To bring in customers. This was going to bring in customers and make far more money.
So why make her sign something?
If I was a crook, I would have let her just give it to me.
She wasn't going to give it to you. She didn't give it to you. That's why you're here, right?
Right. Listen, when I had her sign that, that's for her protection, not mine. This is so she has it in writing. If I wanted to rob somebody, I wouldn't put my name on the contract.
Please keep walking this plank. Please keep walking this plank.
Coming up.
It isn't comfortable for me as a woman and as a judge, and I'm not even in a relationship with you. Point blank, I smell a rat.
We're back with exes Harris Sampson and Lisa Walters, who are in court arguing over money spent during their relationship.
Keep going.
Anyway, like I said, I would have dropped all this. I would have let it go right there. But this is what ended up happening. She took those direct messages and posted it online and provided a link to the consulting show that I was doing. So when anybody searched my consulting show that I've been working on for months, they got that.
What did you post? Tell me.
So I posted that link and those messages because this is beyond me, okay?
Did you move out of his house?
Yes, I did. I left him too. So I wanted to protect other women from his scams.
Your Honor, she's going to believe Reezy Deezy over her boyfriend who's taking care of her for the last year and a half, taking her out all over the place, paying for everything, never lied to her, and she's going to believe Reezy Deezy? How does that work?
I'm all about a limitless life, but this is just too much going on for a man that needs to borrow $8,000 from a woman and who obviously pressured her into this. She said she didn't want to do it before she did it, and then gets a note from another woman who says you pressured her, and now I'm in a position where this is obvious to me what it feels like, and I know common sense ain't common no more. Hold on, but I still got some. This does not add up. The way you're operating as a man, it isn't comfortable for me as a woman and as a judge, and I'm not even in a relationship with you. Point blank, I smell a rat.
Judge Lake's verdict when We the People returns.
Walters, as a woman, I am very happy you got that DM because I don't think you would have ever seen that $8,000. There were too many hoops, too many things he was jumping through trying to get this same amount of money. And I am happy and proud of you as a woman for even though you walked a little bit too deep into a relationship, you are perfectly capable of taking care of yourself. If you had $8,000 to lend him, you had $8,000 to take care of yourself.
Your Honor, I gotta be the worst.
Don't talk to me no more, Mr. Sampson. I'm done talking to you. Because I don't like how it's a pressured-filled energy, and it's almost like you think you're going to out-talk me, but you've got the wrong one.
You're missing the biggest
Mr. Sampson,
point.
I'm not missing big. We've been talking for 20 minutes. If you haven't made your biggest point yet, you don't have a big point. Judgment for the defendant, court is adjourned. Woo, I'm sick of him.
All rise.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's case is dismissed.
So what have you learned?
Choose yourself.
Any thoughts on the verdict?
Yeah, absolutely. She was incorrect. You know, you should be able to trust the person that you're with. and I wasn't able to do that.